All right, guys, let's try this again. I'm still not satisfied. The restream is not working great today. I apologize. So bear with me. We're just going to get the show started. I've already explained everything. Rainy Days was the first person in. They win. Rainy Days, first person in on the new stream in the chat room. Says everything is squibbled at work too. Must have been an update or something. Sports Bra, CC, he says, let's try this again. Damn, Restream did this to me last night when I was doing my podcast. That podcast is, of course, the Sports Bras. They are soon to be a part of Radio Misfits Dallas, as soon as that becomes an actual thing. So we don't want any interruptions with the Sports Bras. We want them creating content so that... Hi, Al. Al is here. Jeff is here. Everybody's here. All right, let's get started. I think I pretty much set up the whole show before we were interrupted. I hope this doesn't happen again. I was telling you some of the things we're going to talk about. So why don't we just get into the show? It is the rant for the 19th day of November, year of our Lord 2024. I am Pugs Moran. November 19th, as I already said, is the 323rd day. 324th in leap years, it says right here. That was one of the things I was able to fix. Remember in the first run of this show, I didn't have those numbers, and then I pulled them up. All right, 324 days have been torn from the calendar of 2024. They lay in a heap at the floor of the... I don't know where you keep your calendar. Do people even have calendars anymore? I don't have a calendar. I got a cell phone. Anyway, just a couple more months. A month and like 12 days until New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. I don't know what I'm doing. I do know what I'm doing New Year's Eve. Nothing. Probably hanging out with my 15-year-old son. That's what I've done for every New Year's Eve for the last 15 years. Haven't been out on a New Year's Eve in 15 years. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. I'm done with that night. I'm done with that kind of craziness. All right. What do you say we get started? Here we go. The first thing that we do here is antecedently on this day. Antecedently on this day is just to look back at all the events that have helped shape our understanding of what this day is. Maybe we're looking for rhythms, patterns, things to prepare us, give us an edge, a better's edge, if you will, on whatever it is that's happening next. Antecedently on this day. My camera's mirrored. All right. Let me fix that. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. See, these are the kinds of things. Okay. There we go. Boom. You're right. The flag was messed up. Good eye, Adam. That's an American. He saw that the flag was screwed up. See, I didn't mirror the screen. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. Remember when I was screwing around and I was high-fiving myself? I did that. Mikey D says New Year's Eve is overrated. Staying at home is totally fine with me these days, especially. Yeah, we're old. We've been there. We've done that. The kids can't impress us with whatever they're going to do. You kidding me? You think some 25-year-old in 2024 is going to have a crazier New Year's Eve than I had in 1993? I don't think so. You can do things in 93 that you just can't do now. It was a more fun place to live, especially if you're a white guy like me. Well, actually, judging from the results of the last election, I think it's going to be fun for a white guy like me, too. Hey, what did he say? That's right. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with this world. I'm very confused. I've been confused. So here's what I do every day I get here. When I talk about the world as we know it, I talk about the events, and I try to get through it together as a group. Ain't that right? America, Sports Bras. Al says he's got a planner. No, not now. Ed, look at Ed, late to the party. Telling me that my camera's mirrored. Ed is, of course, the grand poobah here at RadioMisfits.com. One of the wisest men I've ever known and one of my closest friends. But he was not first in on the mirroring comment. Someone told me. Let me see if I can. Ed, just so you know, and I'm sure you've been listening, Restream is screwed up today. Don't know what's going on. Oh. All right, let's get started. Antecedently on this day, let's get started. 1493. Antecedently on this day in 1493, Christopher Columbus goes ashore on an island called Borinquen. He first saw this island a couple of days earlier. He just drove right past it, but he turned around and he came back. Because yesterday, remember I told you, what did Columbus see yesterday? Puerto Rico. That's right. He drove right past. Well, actually, he turned around and he came back. And today was the day he actually stepped foot on Puerto Rico. And then they all went, this place is a garbage island. Let's go. And they got back in and they went to the Bahamas like a normal person would. All right. That was on this day in 1493, Christopher Columbus, Puerto Rico. Antecedently on this day in the year 1863, during the American Civil War, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln delivers the Gettysburg Address. I don't know what the Gettysburg Address. I mean, I know what it, I mean, I don't know as much about it as I feel like I probably should, as a man of my age who loves my country. 7 years ago. That's it. Second line. Anybody? Anybody? Second line. Let's skip ahead a whole century. Antecedently on this day in the year 1969, the Apollo program, Apollo 12 astronauts Pete Pistol Conrad and Alan Flippin' the Bean land at Oceanus Porcelaneum. That's right. It's the ocean of storms. They were the last people. No, were they the last? No, they weren't the last. They were the third and fourth people to walk on the moon. They weren't the last. They were third and fourth. That was on this day in 1969. Antecedently on this day in the year 1985. Hey, think about that. They were putting rockets up pretty quick back then. Doesn't it feel like today, whenever we do a big launch, there's always like a year before we do another big launch? Look at this. So they landed on the moon. Apollo 11 landed on July the 20th, 1969. And then here we go. We're already at Apollo 12. It's November. Apollo 12 land on the moon on this. That's pretty quick. I think that's pretty quick. They were doing it fast back then. They didn't know what they were doing. They were just like, hey, can we get some rural dudes from Kansas, some barnstormers or pilots like that, and can we stick them in a tin can, place that on top of like 1 million pounds of dynamite and see what happens? That was rocketry in the 1960s. That's why these dudes are rock stars to me. Antecedently on this day in 1998, Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. United States House of Representatives begin impeachment hearings against U.S. President Bill Clinton. This is the... Look, let me tell you what Bill Clinton should have done. Can I tell you what Bill Clinton should have done? I mean, I know you couldn't have done it on this day in 1998 because we were all... I know there were no rules. Here's the thing. Back then, I always talk about how back then, Gen X, we could pretty much do anything we wanted. We just had to publicly not admit it and, be very, we were duplicitous. We were publicly duplicitous, but we were allowed to do whatever we wanted. There were no cell phones. Nobody knew what we were doing. It was fine. So it was a trade-off that we were willing to make. Clinton started parsing. He started becoming a lawyer. Like everyone in America is like, did he bang her? What's going on? Did he bang this chick or not? And then you get Clinton and he's like, I did not have sex with that woman. So then we had the whole national conversation about is a blowjob sex? To which I'm like, here was my thought on is a blowjob sex. What is the most important thing about sex for you? How do you define? I mean, what makes sex important? Is it just a physical act? This go in here, car in the garage? Is that it? Or is there some sort of magic special sauce that makes sex important to us? Maybe love, maybe a connection. I don't know. Intimacy is where I come down. Intimacy. Performing an intimate act with someone other than whom you have married or committed yourself to. All right. So for me, I don't give a shit if he had sex with her or not. The question is he unfaithful? Is his moral character flawed because he is unfaithful to his wife and he is now lying about it? That was the question for me. Not whether or not is a blowjob as bad as sex? Yeah, it is. It's as bad as sex. If you're the person being cheated on, a blowjob is as bad as sex. Because you see, it's the infraction. It's the emotional baggage that comes with that and the weight, the existential change to your perception of your relationship. It's not about whether the car got parked in the garage or there was, some mouth action going on. And so I always got a little bit. That's why I fucking hated Bill Clinton for that. I'm like, dude, you are being all we want to know is what happened. So here's what I think Bill Clinton should have done. He should have come out and he should have said, my fellow Americans, look, let me be straight about this. All right. I'm the most powerful goddamn man on the planet. I am the leader of the free world. I'm young. People tell me I'm hot. Yeah, and chicks thought Clinton was hot. Not me. I mean, I never saw. But there were chicks out there who thought like Clinton was sexy. Think I'm nuts? The studio that we're doing the show for is named after a woman who thought Clinton was hot. Yeah, Kelly Moore. She always thought he was hot. So he should have gone, look, man, I'm the president. Hillary's cool. Right, who's got to say that he's married to her? Hillary's cool. She's more of like a business partner and has been for 20 years. I need to get myself off, and it's just not happening with her. So yes, from time to time, me and Alpha, the leader of the free fucking world, needs to get his nuts off. So I screwed around with this chick. It didn't affect my job as president. If you've got an issue between, me and Hillary, like it's a betrayal, well, that's our thing. So just back off. We'll work it out. And by the way, like 30 years later, they're still married. So whatever, that's their deal. That's their business. Why do you care? But the disqualifying thing around this entire situation was the way Clinton parsed the difference. The crime was a betrayal. The question was, where is your moral anchor now as leader of the free world? Because you have been accused of a betrayal. That was the question. Parsing it between a blowjob and sex was just something that stupid people busied themselves with. It was on this day in 1998, Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. On this day in 2004, man, we're going to watch some video here. We're going to watch this video. I remember where I was. I was over at my girlfriend's house, Tammy's. And we had just gone out to dinner. And we had come back in from dinner. It was probably like 9 o'clock at night or something like that. And my cell phone is like blowing up. It's my buddy Aaron. Aaron's like, dude, you got to put on the Pistons game. And I'm like, what? Wait, what's going on? So I just remember, you have these vivid memories of just weird, random, specific life experiences. And I'll never forget standing on the phone, standing at the foot of my girlfriend's bed in her bedroom. The bed was made. I'm putting the TV on. I sit on the end of her bed. I'm talking on the phone to Aaron, and I put on probably TNT or whatever. And I'm like, holy shit. It was on this day in 2004. I'm sorry. Malice at the Palace occurred. Malice at the Palace. Do you remember this? Fight between the Detroit Pistons and the Indianapolis Pacers. I don't know why I always trip up on that name. Do you realize I almost called them the Fever? That's, to me, in my mind right now, the Indiana Fever are more famous than the Indiana Pacers. Let's watch the video. This was crazy, man. This whole thing. So it started between Ben Wallace and Ron Artest. Well, we're going to watch it, but it started between Ben Wallace and Ron Artest. So who is the guy? Who is the player who really started? Well, that's clear. It's Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace shoves Ron Artest really hard. Then it's the reaction to that. So the tinderbox is Ben Wallace, but then it's the reaction to that. Then once it spins off into the fans, Artest goes into the stands to attack a fan who he believes has just thrown a red Solo Cup beer at him. Ron Artest, while the fight was happening, if you remember, decided that he was going to lay on the scorer's table. So he just got out of the mess, out of the chaos, and he laid down on the scorer's table. And as he was laying there, a red beer, a full beer, bounced off his chest. Ron Artest immediately gets up and charges into the stands, and oh my God, he kicks the shit out of the wrong guy. The wrong guy. He goes right after the dude that he thought threw that cup, and he starts pounding him. Meanwhile, he's got a dude on his back trying to stop him from pounding this innocent guy. And the dude on his back is the guy who did it. The dude on his back. Let's watch the video. This video is crazy. We watched the whole video. It's 6 minutes, and it's just nonsense. Well, let's watch. This is a truly historic moment in American sports history. It happened in our modern age, and many of us actually saw it live. So let us now enjoy Malice at the Palace on this day in 2004.
Daughters in double figures. The Pacers have played a very intelligent game tonight. Then Wallace is fouled, and Wallace did. Wallace right at Artest. This has potential to be serious if they don't get between. Wallace upset. Players trying to hold each other off. Steven Jackson to Rasheed Wallace.
All right, so did we see that from the start? Did we see the Wallace push? Let's watch the Wallace.
Wallace is fouled.
All right, so here comes Big Ben. Big Ben and Artest. Big Ben is the one who moved towards him, and then he does.
And Wallace did.
Wallace, right? So that's obviously, there you go. That's they don't throw flags in basketball because they might slip on him and hurt an ankle. But you know what I'm saying? All right, so here we go. So now let's
right at our test. This has potential to be serious if they don't get between. Wallace upset. Players trying to hold each other off. Steven Jackson and Rasheed Wallace trying to be peacemakers. Now Jackson yelling.
It's a bunch of roided up millionaire 23-year-olds.
Wallace still going. You need the coaches in there to get him away. Jackson challenging Derek Coleman. Somebody should just get Jackson out as quickly as possible. The problem is, if Wallace is ejected, I'm not.
All right, so there's the cup. I just froze it perfectly on the cup. You see right here? This is Ron Artest laying on the scorer's table. You see this? It's not a red solo cup. It appears to be a blue solo, like a blue solo cup. It just landed on Ron Artest's chest. Let's see this again. We'll go right back to it. See if I can catch it. All right. So here you got Steven Jackson. He's causing big problems. He's about to run into the stands too. But this right here, this is Ron Artest. This is his head. He is laying. He's being a bit performative. He's like, look at me. And now watch this cup. You're going to see a cup come from here. It's going to go boom, and it's going to bounce off his chest. And this is what's going to cause the fight to spill from the floor to the stands.
If Wallace is ejected, I'm not sure.
Here it is.
He'd have to walk past the Pacer bench to go. Now Artest has jumped over the scores.
All right, so see Artest. Now this dude right here. Look at him. Oh, you're damn right. This dude didn't do nothing. And Ron Artest is coming in hot. Now let me tell you something. I don't know who this guy is. Can't really get a look at him. He looks like an average dude. Ron Artest is a monster. Forget that he's an NBA player. If you were just walking across a parking lot and you saw Ron Artest coming towards you, you'd be like, this dude could kill me. This dude could rip me in half. First of all, he's a world-class athlete. Second of all, he's like 6'8". Actually, I don't know how tall Artest was. Probably bigger than that. Artest runs into the crowd. The one thing this fan never imagined would ever happen, right? That's sort of the beer muscles of the fans, right? That they go, yeah, I can say whatever I want, but you're not going to come here and do anything. Yeah. This time they did. All right, let's watch. So Artest is going after the wrong guy, right? The guy he's beating up is wrong. The guy that he wants is this dude right here in the blue shirt with the white hat. This is the dude who threw the cup.
Table and is trying to get down to the bench. Artest is in the stands. Oh, this is awful. Fans are getting it.
That's the one that always freaks me out. Steven Jackson is a goddamn load. And did you see him with a straight arm just here? I'm going to show this one more time. This is frightening how hard Steven Jackson hits this dude. All right, here we go. See you again.
Now Artest has jumped over the scores table and is trying to
let me
get down to the bench.
There's Artest.
Artest is in the stands.
Okay, here comes Jackson. Now watch what Jackson does. All right, here he is right here. You see the yellow headband? He is about to lay out some civilian. Just fuck some dude up.
Oh, this is...
Oh, God. Right on the cheek. That's Steven motherfucking Jackson. That dude's like 8 feet tall. And he's like 300 pounds. And he just fucking uncorked on you. And you weren't even looking because you never in a million years thought a professional athlete was going to kick your ass. Oh, that's amazing. I got to see that again. Hold on.
To the bench. Artest is in the stands. Oh, this is awful.
He just crushed him. All right, Malice at the Palace. That was fun. That was fun. Never be able to take that memory away from me. All right. Yeah, Barney, that was it was just that's the kind of thing that shatters a cheekbone. I mean, he hit him flush and full extension, and that dude wasn't even prepared for it. I think that dude was coming in to maybe, I don't know, try and break it up, and he caught a stray flush on the cheekbone. Jesus. That was awesome. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? That's Frank. Frank says that's when basketball was real and full of was full of sissies. LeBron and Curry. Oh, stop it, Frank. Oh, he's right though. The NBA East of the Bulls reign was insane. You people wouldn't even recognize that level of basketball. Bloody noses, blood on the court. It was a constant. The East was terrible in those days. And I don't necessarily mean the years that the Bulls were winning championships. I mean in the years when the Bulls were building. I mean, when the Bulls finally crossed through and started winning their championships with the Michael Jordan style of basketball and the so-called Jordan rules, that was the whole reason for the Jordan rules, because the East was a goddamn meat grinder of thugs and felons and they basically protected Michael, the Jordan rules. Okay, so anyway, 90s basketball was crazy. 80s basketball was nuts. I got to imagine 70s basketball was even worse. But it's still fun. Don't shit on modern basketball, Frank. You would want an NBA without Steph Curry or LeBron James? What's the matter with you? Come on, Frankie. Be an optimist. Enjoy the world. Enjoy this breath. How good was that? The lungs are working. See, don't take anything for granted, Frank. Enjoy the NBA. All right, let's keep going. That was on this day in 2004. Let's do some birthdays. These are people celebrating birthdays today. Let's decide whether or not we like them. Let's decide whether or not we want to offer them a happy birthday or if we just want to tell them go kick rocks. Here we go. First birthday, born on this day, year of our Lord. What year is this? 1933. Oh, my God. He's dead. He died in 2021. Good riddance. Larry King, ladies and gentlemen. Larry King, one of the worst Americans in the history of this country. Just a bad guy. Just a bad guy. Just a bad guy who boonswoggled most of middle America into thinking he's nice. He's not. He's terrible. I can tell you all kinds of stories about Larry King, but let me just leave you with this one. Larry King Jr. was his son. Larry King Jr. grew up 2 blocks away from Larry King when Larry King was a big-time Miami talk radio host in the 1970s and 80s. Larry King was a star 2 blocks away playing high school football and standing out, mind you, and getting notices in the paper was Larry King Jr. Larry King never met Larry King Jr. until Larry King Jr. was 40, and they lived 2 blocks away from each other. Larry King's a piece of shit. That's who Larry King is. He's also a Russian asset, but that's who Larry King is. Larry King's a piece of shit. Screw you. Born on this day in 1933. Born on this day in 1938. Here's one of my guys. One of them dudes. I love this guy. I am in the middle. Oh, I told you yesterday about how I'm enjoying the documentary series about him. Call Me Ted, the Ted Turner story. Maverick. Just a good old boy. Just a good old boy who didn't play by them bullshit Wall Street rules, who just kind of took no for a yes at every turn. Just an amazing story. Just an amazing story of a dude who just kind of sees the world the way he sees it, and fuck you if you don't like it. Ted Turner, born on this day, 1938. Call Me Ted on HBO Max. It's fun. You'll be watching, you'll be like, God, this guy's crazy. I like this guy. He did some things. Born on this day in 1938. Born on this day in 1941. How about Dan Haggerty? We got any? Where's my Grizzly Adams people? We got any Grizzly Adams people in the house? Grizzly Adams, man, I love that show. Ben, right? Wasn't it Ben? Was the Bear's name Ben? Even as a kid, like Grizzly Adams, starring Dan Haggerty, our birthday boy, that was on in the 1970s. I was probably 7, 8, 9 years old when that show was on, maybe even younger. Probably younger now that I think about it. But even at that age, I was very confused by the show Grizzly Adams because Grizzly Adams had a bear, and that bear's name was Ben. There was already a famous celebrity bear named Ben. It bothered me. This wasn't, I'm 8 years old or whatever, and I'm thinking, is this Gentle Ben? Is this the same? Is this Gentle Ben? Is Grizzly Adams Ben the same Ben as Gentle Ben? I can't tell. I don't see a whole lot of bears. They all kind of look the same to me. Dan Haggerty, born on this day in 1941. Born on this day in 1942, Calvin Klein. Hey, Calvin, what's up with you? You gay or not? I have no idea what's going on with Calvin Klein. He's got a smoke show daughter. He's got a daughter who's totally hot. He's been married. You know, I think he married a model even. That's probably how he got the smoke show daughter. I don't know. Connected dots. But then he's also like been in a relationship with gay porn stars and stuff. It's like, here's why this is so perplexing to me. I like Calvin Klein. I do. I like Calvin Klein. When I was a kid, I used to wear his cologne. But, I like his clothing. I like his style. I like his eye. I think he's got... Yeah, I like Calvin Klein. What do you want? Not a big Ralph Lauren guy. Don't really like Ralph Lauren. Find his stuff pretentious. Calvin Klein, a little bit more all-American. A little bit more rugged. I like it. Anyway, So, CK1. Remember that? I used to wear CK1. Did you guys used to wear CK1? Calvin Klein one. All right, so this is my deal with Calvin Klein. Calvin Klein's a gay man. Calvin Klein is a gay man. Now, those of you who know me and have been listening to my show for years and years and years, you know that I have gay friends and I have absolutely no problem with homosexuality. As a matter of fact, I like to talk about it a lot. I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating because I'm a curious individual, and the way that I am wired, I like chicks, and so my friends who don't, I'm always interested. I'm always talking. So what is it that you find attractive about him? What is it? Is it like, do you find, like I asked my friend Ben, no. It's funny, Benji. I was just talking about Ben the Baron for some reason. I was Benji, my friend Benji, who's gay. I've known him since radio in the 90s. I once asked him if it was the same thing like with women. Like are the things that women are attracted to men by, are they the same as, and he's like, I don't know, because I've never been a woman. And I'm like, that's a good answer. That's an acceptable answer. All right, here's my deal. And I've had this position a long time. There is no such thing as bisexuality. That's fine. If you want to claim it, that's fine, man. Do you. Live life. It's short. You got to be happy. Okay? Whatever. If your end goal is to get to an orgasm because you want that feeling and you want the endorphin rush and all that's great, well, however you get there, I don't care. Just don't do it with kids and don't hurt anybody. Okay? That's it. But if you're bisexual, you're gay. I'm sorry. I'm a heterosexual straight man. And I believe that, let's talk about Calvin Klein, first of all. Calvin Klein was married for like 30 years to a woman that he married in 1959. You know why? Because you couldn't be gay in 1959. And you had to maintain appearances. So he got married. He had a beard. They were together for all these years. And then they divorced in like 1990 or something. And all of a sudden he started dating gay porn stars. He always wanted to date gay porn stars. Calvin Klein was always gay. He was just pretending. And then for a while, he's like, well, I'm bisexual. No, you're not. No, you're not. And this is not a mark on you. It's only a mark on you if you think there's something wrong with being gay. I don't think there's anything wrong with being gay. You're gay. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. I'm sorry. That's just my take on bisexuals. I think bisexuals are just people who have... I do have a bit of a sliding sort of theory on this. I do think that there are some people who are just sex degenerates, and that's a different thing. Sex degenerates will just have sex with anything. It doesn't matter. But for normal people, like if you're a dude and you're like bi, you're gay. You're gay, dude. You'd be totally happy just being with a guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. Calvin Klein, we figured you out. Happy birthday, Calvin Klein. I like your clothes. Born on this day in 1959, national treasure, Allison Janney. I love Allison Janney. CJ Craig from the West Wing. I don't think she's hot, though. I mean, I think she's I think, you know how I would describe Allison Janney? And the reason I say this is because all my friends think she's hot. But she's so hot, she's so hot. I would describe CJ Craig from the West Wing, or our birthday girl, Allison Janney, the actress who portrayed her. I would describe her as a handsome woman. You draw your own conclusions on what I mean by that. Allison Janney, national treasure. Born on this day in 1959. Born on this day in 1960. Oh, not national treasure, but certainly a sad story. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the day the world gave us Miss Elizabeth. Miss Elizabeth. Va-va-voom. Miss Elizabeth, WWF. Back when it was WWF, World Wrestling Federation. Randy Macho Man Savage, his manager, would, of course, go on to be embroiled in a big scandal between Randy Macho Man and Lex Luger, and it would go on for years, and it was just a common story point. Miss Elizabeth, she was a manager. She was a WWE wrestling manager. Maybe she even wrestled. I don't know. But I remember I used to think, I thought she was so hot. Like when I'm 11, 12 years old, I'm like, oh my God. And all my friend had a Miss Elizabeth poster. And in my mind, I'm like, God, she was hot. And then I look at her now, and you can look at her up yourself. Miss Elizabeth. I look at her now, and I'm like, is it the 80s hair? Is that why I don't think she's hot now? Because 80s hair was just bad. But we didn't know anything else back then because everybody had bad 80s hair. So it's sort of, water seeks its own level. So we were all like, well, for bad hair, she's the hottest. Was that it? I don't know. Miss Elizabeth died of acute toxicity due to an overdose of sleeping pills and vodka. Very sad. Miss Elizabeth, wrestling legend. Born on this day in 1960. Born on this day in 1961, Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan, we all loved Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan was probably universally beloved. Right around when, 92? Would you say like 92, 93? That's when like every dude, it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. It does not matter what type you like. I maintain that in 1992, every single male on the planet would have gone on a date with Meg Ryan. They would have gone on a date with her. They'd have just been like, yeah, she was everybody's type. Now she's a plastic surgery addict who looks like a mouse in a laboratory. Have you seen her? Oh my God, it's terrible. Why can't you women age gracefully? I mean, I know you can't all be, who's the chick? Who's the chick that's really hot? She's like 100 and she's still hot. Y'all can't be Dame Helen Mirren. I know. She held up well, man. And I don't know if she just naturally held up well or she knows how to do plastic surgery because Helen Mirren looks great. Our birthday girl, Meg Ryan, not so much. Still love her, though. What Gen X guy doesn't love Meg Ryan? Clearing the throat. Hold on. I'm going to mute the mic because I got class. There we go. That's good. Born on this day in 1961, Meg Ryan. Born on this day in 1962. The college fund, the kids' college fund would have been lost on this bet. If somebody would have said to me yesterday, who's older, Meg Ryan or this person, I'd have said this person. I'd have said, oh, this person's probably older by like 5 years. This person is not. This person is a year younger than Jodie Foster, than Meg Ryan. It's Jodie Foster. There you go. I would have thought Jodie Foster was older than Meg Ryan, and so would you. I would have bet the whole kid's child college fund, the whole child's college fund. I'm racing. Stream of consciousness is start. I got to slow down. Pace yourself, Pugs. It's a stream of consciousness. You've got all day. You've got interesting things to say, or at least you think so, but you are a narcissist. So just calm down and do the show. Jodie Foster, born on this day in 1962. Jodie Foster, oh man, she's been around forever. Jodie Foster, she's the Coppertone baby. Did you guys know that? Or wait, was that Brooke Shields? No, it's Jodie Foster. Who was the Ivory Soap baby? Is that Marilyn Chambers, the porn star? All the babies that were featured in ads in the 1960s went on to be like porn stars or like, trouble people. Wait a second. Have I just uncovered something? Has Hollywood been running this child sex factory since, think about it. The Ivory Soap baby grew up to be a porn star. The Coppertone baby grew up to be Jodie Foster. Who she's okay, but she's fine. She's like, great. Actually, that's a good one. You know what? There's nothing wrong with growing up to be Jodie Foster now that I think. Well, she was scandalized in the 90s because she came out of the closet late. So there was always all of this, Jodie Foster's gay, we're going to out her at the Oscars. And I think most people who followed films were like, I think she's going to be there with her girlfriend. Like you don't really have to make a big thing. It's not like that big of a secret in Hollywood that Jodie Foster's a lesbian. And then Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields was another one of these babies. I don't know which one Brooke Shields was. I think Jodie Foster was the little baby that was getting her bikini pulled down. Like remember the Coppertone ads? It was like a little kid in a bikini and there's a little puppy and the little puppy's tugging on the back of her bikini. I think that was Jodie Foster. I think the Ivory Soap girl was Marilyn Chambers. And I think Brooke Shields was something else. But Brooke Shields grew up to be like sexualized constantly as an underage child in Hollywood. Brooke Shields appeared in a film that I don't know if you can find it. I don't know if it's around. It is just one of the most. Have you ever heard of the film Pretty Baby? Just go Wikipedia that. Go look up Pretty Baby. It had everyone from James Cagney to Susan Sarandon in it. And it also featured like a 13-year-old child sex prostitute, Brooke Shields. She's like 13 years old doing a full nude scene. It was okay because I was 13 and I'm like, yeah, that's my age, so it's not weird. But hey, all you adults watching this, what are you doing? And then, of course, Jodie Foster played an underage teenage prostitute in Taxi Driver. I just put that together. That's what it was. It wasn't Jodie Foster's sexual orientation, because we're all cool with that. And she's a brilliant filmmaker, and she's done a lot in her career. So we really... Remember when Jodie Foster, our birthday girl, was on the Partridge Family? Remember that? One of the coolest radio things that I've ever heard. Danny Bonaducci, my partner Kelly Moore Studios. Kelly used to be Danny Bonaducci's sidekick and exec producer and all that when he did a talk radio show in Chicago back in the 90s. And Danny Bonaducci, regardless of the fact that Jodie Foster was a major, massive A-list star and Danny Bonaducci was, doing radio in Chicago. He was the kid from the Partridge Family. Not exactly on the same level in Hollywood. Danny Bonaducci once just called Jodie Foster on the phone. Just called her. He's like, I got her number. And you think she'll pick up? And he calls her and she picks up and he's like, Jodie, it's Danny Bonaducci. She's like, Daddy. He's like, you're on the radio. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, we're going to do an interview here, Jodie. And she's like, oh, okay. It was so cool because Jodie Foster doesn't do interviews. And he just had this friend from when they were 12 years old that they'd stayed in contact with. She had become this huge A-lister. It was cool. It was cool. So happy birthday, Jodie Foster. Born on this day in 1962. Born on this day in 1983. One of the biggest stars in Hollywood. And I think, I don't know. Now, you guys know I've got a list of them dudes, right? Them dudes that are just so impressive to me because of the stuff that they've done. Chris Christopherson is always a great example of one of them dudes. Steve McQueen is one of them dudes. I think that Adam Driver might be putting together a them dudes resume. Adam Driver, I was reading this thing about his military career, and Adam Driver is a very interesting guy. Not just a dumb actor who's ugly. I don't get Adam Driver. I'm sorry. I don't get you women. Look, here's what I get, ladies, okay? I get rejecting this. I get that this is not what you're looking for, okay? This I understand. And there are things that I can do to make this more appealing. I choose not to because I'm not going to chase you. I'm 55 years old. I've been married twice. I don't need to make any changes. Take it or leave it, ladies. Point is this. I know you don't want this, but you ladies are out there chasing after Pete Davidson. You ladies are out there chasing after Adam Driver. Have you seen his nose? The dude's got like a honker like Jimmy Durante, and you guys are like, he's so hot. By the way, nice, cool, relevant reference. Jimmy Durante is who I went with. Jimmy Durante, folks. That's right. Mentioning a guy that's been dead since the 50s. There it is, Barney, Ivory Soap. Thank you, Barney. I knew Brooke was something. It was one of those, she was a soap baby too. Yeah, thank you. Nina says, Adam Driver looks way too much like my ex. Can't watch his movies. Your ex is ugly. Your ex, Adam Driver is not hot. I mean, is this the deal? Because here's what I'll say. And this is one thing that I've noticed about dudes. If you're like 6'1", or actually if you're 6'2" or above, and I think Adam Driver might be one of these guys. If you're like 6'2" or above and you're not fat and you're like kind of in shape and your body's all right, this right here can be nuts. You can do whatever you want with this as a dude. If you're good from down here and you're tall, oh my God, women will just go for you. And they'll make excuses for you being hot. Jeremy Allen White from The Bear. You women think he's hot. I have no idea what's happening anymore. No idea how to dress for sexual success. You people like Pete Davidson, Adam Driver, and the guy from The Bear, Jeremy Allen White. Girls. George Clooney, I can see. Brad Pitt, I can see. Tom Cruise, I can see. Rob Lowe, I can see. Adam Driver, really? Really? I just can't take rejection personal anymore. When you ladies are out there chasing after those goons, born on this day in 1983, the very ugly, yet super talented and possibly one of them dudes, Adam Driver. Born on this day in 1988, the greatest American. Sorry, Mike Madonna. Greatest American hockey player in the history of the NHL. Who is it? I don't even have to say his name. It's his birthday. You know his name. Born on this day in 1988. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. 88 is the year that he was born. Greatest American hockey player in the history of the NHL. Happy birthday, Patrick Kane. The Kaner! The Kaner! Patrick Kane. Born on this day in 1988. Sorry, Madonna. Patrick Kane would school you. Prime Kaner versus Prime Madonna? I mean, with all due respect. All right. That's just me unnecessarily poking my Stars friends, because that's something that they're always very much. Madonna's the best American born. No, he's not. No, he's not. Madonna's from Michigan. That is true. Patrick Kane is from Buffalo, New York. Nina says about her boyfriend that looked like Adam Driver, who I pointed out to her must have been ugly because Adam Driver's ugly. Nina says, I thought he was hot. Not anymore. Adam, I'm sorry. Is this late? Did Adam offer Jeremy Allen White before I suggested him? Because I didn't see that you suggested him, but yeah. So Adam says, explain Jeremy Allen White and Barry Keoghan. Okay. I can't. First of all, Barry Keoghan's great. I love him. I always root for my Irish actors. But he's not hot under any standard. And I've never seen a woman go, that guy's hot. That's not Jeremy Allen White, though. Yes, absolutely. Women love Jeremy Allen White. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, Adam. I don't know. Does what's his name? I just forgot his name. Who's the other guy? Barry Keoghan. Do you know women who's, what does Libby say? Does Libby think he's hot? I don't know. I don't think he is. Is it a fame thing? Like, is it just because he's famous and he's not fat? Because really, that's what I've learned. That's really the big line of demarcation. You can be all kinds of ugly, but just don't be fat. And then if you are going to be fat, be really rich, really funny, or, no, that's it. Rich or funny. That's it. Famous? Well, because that's rich or funny. Come with that, right? Or rich comes with famous. That's it. But if you're thin, man, thin dudes always get hot chicks. Like, if you ever see, this always bugs me. Like, you ever watch episodes of Cops, or if you ever watch On Patrol Live and stuff like that, and then they like bust up like some weird like meth party in a garage, and it's always like skinny dudes wearing jorts and no shirt, and they're like, and then there's like free smoking hot trashy chicks walking around. I'm like, what are these smoking hot trashy chicks? What are they doing hooking up with this guy, this Barry Keoghan of Charlottesville, or wherever the hell they're on patrol? They're always on patrol in Charlottesville. I don't know. Nina says, talking about Lyle Lovett. Lovett looks like my old lesbian aunt, but his swagger is what women find hot. Yeah, Lyle Lovett's another good example. I'm going to push back just a little bit on Lyle Lovett. I don't think Lyle Lovett is somebody that women thinks is hot. I think Lyle Lovett is somebody who Julia Roberts got drunk and married by accident. I don't know that it was like other women were like, ooh, because it was weird when Julia Roberts hooked up with Lyle Lovett. It was like, why is Pretty Women marrying Abe Lincoln? Like, it was weird. It was just, so I don't know that. It is obvious that Jeremy Allen White is a sex symbol. It is obvious that Adam Driver is a sex symbol, and it is obvious that Pete Davidson is a sex symbol. I just don't know that it's obvious that Lyle Lovett is a sex symbol. All right, let's keep going. Where are we at? We just finished birthdays. All right, so let's go to the deads. All right, here we go. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Shout out to Jim Carroll. Let's decide where they go based on what we understand of their life's contributions to humanity. Did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? Let's begin. Dead on this day. Wow, this is a wild one. 2004. I didn't realize that. Dead on this day in 2004. Hold on. Sorry, I lost my place. Dead on this day in 2004, born in 1942. Terry Melcher. Terry Melcher. Now you're all like, who's Terry Melcher? Why does that name sound familiar? Why do I know Terry Melcher? Terry Melcher was a record producer, a studio musician who would become a record company executive, a big star. Terry Melcher was a star maker, in fact, back in the 1960s. Terry Melcher was a guy who Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys worked with Terry Melcher. Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys hooked Terry Melcher up with a friend of his by name of Charles Manson. That's right. Dennis Wilson said, hey, Terry, this hippie I'm hanging out with, he's got a lot of hot chicks and he's a little weird, but he plays guitar and he's not terrible. Would you listen to him? And so Terry Melcher, a record company guy, he goes, yeah, I'll listen to him. Again, we don't know this is Charles Manson yet. Charles Manson ain't done the Charles Manson stuff. So Manson auditions for Melcher. He does a recording for him and he doesn't hear anything back. Essentially, Melcher passes. He's like, nothing to do. And then Melcher starts dodging Manson because Manson's like, hey, man, how'd you like my demo? You know how that is? So anyway, here's where it all gets very dark. Roman Polanski purchased Terry Melcher's home or was leasing it from Terry Melcher, whatever. Terry Melcher's home in the Hollywood Hills was being leased to film director Roman Polanski and his beautiful young pregnant wife, Sharon Tate. And that is why they got slaughtered by the Manson family. The Manson family went to the Tate Polanski home where they killed Abigail Folger and Stephen, what was the guy's, the hairdresser? I can't think of his name now. Anyway, killed all those people. They thought they were killing Terry Melcher and Terry. They didn't know that they'd moved. So, big mistake. Terry Melcher would survive the Manson family on that night, and he'd lived till 2004. So he lived a full life. He lived, not a full life. He probably could have gotten another 20, 25 years now that I look at it. But so where'd he go? Heaven or hell? He survived the Manson thing. I don't know that really moves us in either direction. Does it? Other than if you make some sort of, faithful theory that, well, God intervened, that might be something, but I ain't buying it. He was a record executive in the 1960s. He's a piece of shit. I don't care that he survived the Manson family murder. He's probably in hell. That's what I'm saying. Terry Melcher, dead on this day in 2004. Dead on this day in 2007, Kevin Dubrow, Quiet Riot. Come on, feel the noise. Kevin Dubrow. I'm putting him in heaven. I like him. You know why? Here's what I always liked about Kevin Dubrow. Kevin Dubrow and Quiet Riot. Now, just picture him if you can, okay? Just picture Quiet Riot 1983 or whatever it is. Just picture it. Here's what I always enjoyed about Kevin Dubrow. Kevin Dubrow always looked like he was only half in. He looked like he was only half in on this whole, metal thing. You look at some of the other Sunset Strip bands. You look at some of the other guys in his band. They're all in. The teased hair, the makeup, all that shit. Kevin Dubrow was never teased hair. He had a perm. He just had normal curly hair. And then he wore striped shirts and stuff. He wasn't doing crazy metal, Motley Crue looking crap. He never bought fully in. I don't think Kevin Dubrow really thought that this music thing was going to work out. So he didn't want to do the tattoos. He didn't want to change anything. Anyway, Kevin Dubrow, of course, Quiet Riot, great band. His brother's a really famous plastic surgeon. His brother is his brother used to be on that TV show, The Swan. Here's another fun fact. My very good friend, Dr. Robert Schwartz, former roommates with Kevin Dubrow's brother, the plastic surgeon. They were in residency together and they lived together. Kevin Dubrow, Quiet Riot. I'm putting him in heaven. I love Quiet Riot. Come on! I think that's them. Is that them? I don't know. Not a big metal guy, but I think that's them. It is. Ooh, this story. Sorry. The news that I'm watching, they're talking about the latest in the story that I'm going to lay on you today. It's not a big story. It's not making the huge headlines, but I think it will. And I think it's one we're going to follow. And I think it might be one of them stories that we'll be talking about on Thanksgiving. So I'll have that for you coming up. All right. So what do we got here? Kevin Dubrow. Kevin Dubrow's going to heaven. Dead on this day, 2007. Dead on this day in 2014. One of the greats. He's not one of them dudes. Not one of them dudes, because he was only pretty much in one lane. But my God, he dominated that lane, and he had the respect of everyone. This guy is probably the most respected man in the history of American comedy. And I'm not talking like, well, oh, no, what are you talking? I've never even heard of him. Well, no, he's. I don't know why he's so. I mean, I do know why he's respected, because he goes back to a very, very interesting origin story of where comedy has certainly thrived in America, and that is the founding of the Second City in Chicago, which is a comedy theater that has essentially unleashed on the world some of the funniest shit we've all seen in the last 50, 60 years. Mike Nichols, a founding member of the Second City. Mike Nichols is dead on this day. Sports fans, if you don't know who Mike Nichols is, sports fans, do you know who Rachel Nichols is? Okay, she's his daughter-in-law. There you go. Nichols and May. Does that ring a bell for you? Or have you heard of Nichols and May, the comedy team of Nichols and May, Mike Nichols, Elaine May? They were big, man. They were Key and Peele. They were Cheech and Chong. They were whatever the big, in 1966, my God, if you were out doing it upright in Manhattan, you very well may have gone and seen Nichols and May perform live. If you were doing it right. Mike Nichols would go on to be a screenwriter who wrote some of the most critically acclaimed comedy films of all time. Comedy films do not receive critical acclaim. Mike Nichols changed that. Mike Nichols, of course, The Graduate. Here, let me go see his filmography. Let's see what he's done. He's done some crazy shit. That's in the filmography. All right, here you go. We don't want theater credits, right? Because we don't care about that, but apparently he's incredibly... filmography and theater credits. Is that theater? Oh, no. Okay, so here are the films that Mike Nichols directed. He wrote, he directed, he performed. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? The Graduate, Catch-22, Carnal Knowledge, The Day of the Dolphin, Silkwood, Heartburn, Biloxi Blues, Working Girls, Postcards from the Edge, Regarding Henry, The Birdcage, Primary Colors. Charlie Wilson's War was his last film. Mike Nichols is a dude, man. I'm a big fan of Mike Nichols. So, of course, he's going to heaven. All right, Mike Nichols, dead on this day in 2014. He goes to heaven. Here's one. Here's a dead on this day in 2017. We've already talked about what he's famous for, so we may as well. Oh, what's happening here? May as well just finish it. He's going to hell. Ain't no question about that, because it was on this day in 2017 when Charles Manson himself died in a California prison cell. Charles Manson, helter skelter. Charles Manson, the guy who tried to kill Terry Melcher, who also died on this day. Coincidence? Glitch in the Matrix? What's going on there? Isn't that weird, though? Think about it in these terms. A dude who tried to kill another dude but failed died on the exact same day as the dude he once tried to kill, although a couple of years. Isn't that weird? I mean, there's 365 days in a year. What are the odds that, Charles Manson, who once tried to kill Terry Melcher, would die on the exact same day that Terry Melcher died? I don't know. Just weird. Dead on this day in 2023, we're putting her in heaven because she just always struck me as a nice lady. And by the end of it, she just looked like beef jerky in a wig. And so I felt bad for her. Rosalind Carter. Beef jerky in a wig. Rosalind Carter died on this day in 2023, former first lady of these here United States. I don't know. I couldn't even, she's like one of these, I can't even, what does she sound like? Like, what, did she ever talk? I don't know if I ever heard her talk. I saw her, Didn't they have a kid? They had a kid, Amy, right? Is she still around? I don't know. Rosalind Carter. I'm going to put her in heaven. Just because she seemed, don't get political with me. She just seemed like a nice lady. And did you see Rosalind Carter at the end? When I say beef jerky in a wig, I know I'm trying to be a little bit silly, maybe even slightly humorously poetic, but it's true. She did not look good. She looked like she lived way too long. And is Jimmy still alive? Oh my God, talk about living too long. They must be living right. I'll tell you that. They must be living right. If you believe in a God, somebody's looking out for them. Me, don't really believe in God, but whatever. If you do, hard to refute that somebody's looking out for Rosalind and Jimmy Carter. All right, there you go. That's going to be it. That's going to be the first 3 quarters of the show. It's time for us now to focus our attention on all the things that are happening and shaping our understanding of this day, this edition of the 19th day of November, year of our Lord 2024. Let's get started. The big breaking news. Manhattan DA has announced that they will not be sentencing Donald Trump to, when he's supposed to be sentenced this week. Remember, he got convicted over the summer in New York. And the Manhattan DA is like, yeah, we're not gonna be sentencing them. Okay, here's my response. Okay, I don't care. I know there's a lot, like there's so many of you out there who are anti-Trump who are going to allow this bit of news to just fuck with you. You're just gonna be like every little piece of news that you get that is somehow, not negative for Trump. It's just gonna hurt you. You're gonna spend 4 years doing this. You people got to find a hobby. You people got to get past this. The Manhattan DA is not going to be sentencing or they're pulling the charges back. I don't even have this story. It's because it just happened while we were doing the show. So let me pull it up. Pull up the full story and I'll give you all the details and then I'll tell you exactly why this isn't a big deal. Well, actually, you might all right, now what? Now I don't have it? All right, it doesn't matter. Anyway, he's not going to be sentenced. He's not going to go to jail. He was just elected president. If you got a problem with it and you're crying about, oh, this is our justice system, here's what I can tell you. Yep. Yeah. This is what it is. Look, here's the thing, guys. A lot of people hate this dude. A lot of people love this dude. Country is quite literally split in half. He just won a mandate. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Country split in half. The half that lost, and I said this last time to you people that tried to burn down the country, the side that lost, you lost. Get over it. Regroup. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do better next time. Focus on why it is that you lost. I keep telling the liberals, you guys lost because you're absurd. Because the hills that you chose to die on were so absolutely outside the mainstream of what regular Americans were willing to be comfortable with, and you got your asses kicked. I'm sorry. That's it. Everything's, every cancel culture, and you can't say that. It just opened up the lanes for the opposition, the other side, to just claim you're anti-First Amendment, you're anti-Second Amendment, you're just... We need a moderate opposition party. There needs to be an established moderate opposition party. And there's just not. There's a crazy one there's a crazy party that won, and then there's an even crazier party that lost. And the even crazier party is like, well, how do we fix things? You don't for 4 years, and you stop letting every little thing bother you. Okay? Look, let me help you with this. You're not going to want to hear this, because it goes against everything that we were raised to believe. I was raised in a world of absolutes, things that as a child that I thought were impenetrable facts. And then, as I always like to say, a Malaysian airliner one night just disappeared. That changed me. That changed my whole world. Well, you might say, Pugs, that seems like such a small thing. Take a walk with me. I had, previous to that moment, thought it was absolutely impossible for a commercial airliner on Earth in 2020, whatever it was, 2019, wherever, to just disappear. I'm like, look, if you had said to me, yeah, a plane just disappeared, I'd be like, that can't happen. They've transponders, they track them, they go from one tracking point to another. That doesn't happen. And then guess what? I woke up one day and it turns out that was all a bullshit construct, and that it's quite easy for planes to just fucking disappear. That made me think about, what else do I think is just an absolute that is not? Oh my God. And then the whole world fell apart, didn't it? I have no problem with Donald Trump not being forced to serve for a conviction that he was convicted of. Conviction he was convicted of. God, I sound stupid. I have no problem with that. Different rules for different folks. See, this is where your construct is starting to go, what do you mean different rules for different folks? See, we're all programmed to believe that that's not how the world works. But it does. There are different rules for different folks. And the legal system really only applies to people who don't have the might or power to destroy the construct. And Trump, with his never before seen power over the American public, to get them to turn out in the streets, it's a different game. It's a different rule. Different rules for him. He's special. People like him, and people are going to let him get away with stuff. That's why this doesn't bother me, because I'm okay with that. I'm like, that's where we are. Let's go. He's an emperor. And there are a lot of people who voted for him who would be perfectly comfortable with him acting and governing as an emperor. I'm uncomfortable with that because, you know me, I'm a Jeffersonian. I'm like with those guys. I like those ideas about democracy, although I've been a little bit concerned about the current state of democracy as we've seen it degenerate over the last few decades. Whatever. The country voted. He's going to make Matt Gaetz the attorney general. I'm fine with that. You people aren't. You people are letting it drive you nuts. Would it have been any better with Kamala Harris? I mean, who would Kamala Harris have made the attorney general? Amala Clooney? Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of shit you'd have been getting from them. President-elect Harris has elected George Clooney's wife. It's all a construct, people. If your side lost last time, well, I'm sorry, but get over it, all right? Trump ain't going to jail. They just elected him president. But that shouldn't matter. Well, it shouldn't. Agree with you there. It shouldn't. But here's where we are. So let's go, baby. Let's go. The sun will rise tomorrow. This is our new reality. And as I always keep going back to, you know, I got two people in this world who I care about. I got my mother. She's an old white lady. She's fine. They're going to take care of her. They're going to take care of all the old white ladies. They're good. And I got my son is 15 years old. He's a Texan. He's a white Texan. He's probably, they're probably not going to enact anything that's going to be really bad for him. And I don't know. I don't know that they'll enact anything that's going to be really bad for people who don't deserve it either. I am going into this new 4 years with an open mind. I have never been, you know, a big, you know, lib guy. I've certainly never been a big conservative guy. I've always kind of just existed in this middle space where I look at all of these people and I just want to vomit. Where's my Mr. Smith? That's what I want to know. Where the fuck is my Mr. Smith? Where's that guy? That guy doesn't exist. That guy's a Hollywood creation. Anyway, they're not going to press, or they're not going to sentence Trump. I'm sure the chat room's going nuts on this. We got people from all walks of life in the chat room. That's what I love about you people. You're the absolute best. Frank Smith says Kamala would have made Pete Buttigieg Secretary of State after his successful time with plane crash and train crash. I don't know what that means, but he's a career in Hollywood or Washington guy. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy that either side would choose. Not Amala Clooney, who's only famous because she's the wife of George Clooney. I mean, I know she's accomplished as an international world court, but she's George Clooney's wife, and that would be the reason that she would be installed there. I don't think Pete Buttigieg is necessarily a bad guy unless you don't like gay people, because that seems to be the only problem that they throw at him. What did he do? Transportation? How do you fuck that up? Isn't that easy? Just keep the airports open on Christmas, and you're pretty much a successful Secretary of Transportation. Thank you, Frankie. I love you. Hey, Billy Thomas. I don't know no Billy Thomas. Are you new in the chat room? If so, you're freaking awesome. William Thomas says, I don't think, quote, the even crazier side lost. All right. There you go, man. You know, I don't know that I necessarily think that either. But for the sake of optimism and being somebody who sits in the middle here, Billy, I got to just hope for the best. What are we doing? Here's my advice. We're all good people. We're all trying to be good people. We're all trying to raise kids that are respectful and courteous, and we're all trying to be good friends and moral neighbors to one another. That's us. That's the 70% that I keep talking about that we need to glom onto. That's the 70% that is America. 15 on the right who's fucking nuts. 15 on the left who's fucking nuts. They cannot distract us anymore. Okay, so let's just do these 4 years. Let's 70% of us try and be good, faithful, patriotic Americans and just see what happens next. I don't know what to tell you. I got no magic for you. I don't even like politics. But I know that this is the kind of thing that absolutely, you know, tears at who we are as a collective nation. And you don't have to look around too far to see that. We all hate each other. We've hated each other for 10 years now. I need that to stop. All right, let's keep going. Where are we at? Next big story today. Now, this is kind of a big story. This is a story that's near and dear to my heart because I'm like, yeah, really? And this is something that upsets me about some of you folks. I got one of my favorite people are in the chat room right now, somebody that I go back 20 years with, somebody who I respect as a human, somebody that I like, somebody whose company I've enjoyed on many occasions. This person said something once, and it was about 10 years ago, and I've never looked at him the same way. And I'm talking about you, my guy, Frankie Smith. Frankie Smith, about 10 years ago, started arguing with me on Facebook in defense of Vladimir Putin and making all kinds of like, Russia's our friend, Russia. And I don't know if he was playing devil's advocate, and he may have been, but he spun me off. Because let me tell you something, folks. I'm a Cold War kid. Russia's not my friend. The Russian people, well, it's a wait and see kind of thing. Vladimir Putin is not my friend. I'm an American. Vladimir Putin is a Soviet-minded dictator. You do realize that Vladimir Putin, and I keep saying this over and over again, and everybody's like, that doesn't really matter. Vladimir Putin matriculated his way through the upper echelons of Soviet governance in the KGB. So, Vladimir Putin's entire life was the fucking Americans must die. Talk about a cold warrior. That's who Vladimir Putin is. And he's running Russia. Ostensibly, Russia is now, a free nation and the Soviet system is gone. But the genie's out of the bottle, and that's the way the guy thinks, and that's the way the guy sees the world. He's never gonna be our friend. Mikhail Gorbachev is a good example. Towards the end of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, you could look at him either in Helsinki or in Iceland, Reykjavik, with Gorbachev, Reagan and Gorbachev. There looked like there was, Gorbachev's like, this is a guy we can work with. Look, he's smiling. He seems happy. You never see that with Putin. Putin always looks like he's about to stab you right in the back. He's not a good guy. So Russia is threatening us. Yeah, that's right. Because of the whole Biden long-range missile thing. Biden yesterday, the Biden administration, that's the way to say it. So yesterday, the Biden administration approved Ukraine's use of long-range missiles in their war against Russia. This will allow the Ukrainian forces to penetrate deeper into Russia than where they are right now, bogged down a little bit in the Kursk region. That's what's happening right now. So Ukrainians are like, can you give us missiles so that we can maybe fire out of this area and maybe move forward? So finally, and I don't know what the reason was, but again, we talked about this yesterday. Apparently, we gave them all these missiles and then told them how they can and cannot use them, which is weird. And what's even weirder is that in the middle of the war, they seem to have been adhering to these restrictions. So they're not anymore. So they're now being allowed to use these missiles in more long range, which is definitely going to ramp up problems for the Russians. Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin I'll read it. I don't want to get this because trust me, I'm going to rant on this. So let me get the exact facts straight. Moscow warns the U.S. over allowing Ukraine to hit Russian soil with longer range weapons. Ooh, I'm so scared, Russia. You're getting your ass kicked by Ukraine. You honestly think that you could now take the full wave of NATO? Screw you. Who do you think you are, Russia? You're goddamn Czechoslovakia, maybe on its best day, but you're still Czechoslovakia. You aren't a world power. The hangover from the Soviet days, that's gone. Nobody's afraid of you. Well, other than your citizens. They're fighting a war against the Jerry Seinfeld of the Ukraine, and you've been getting your ass handed to you. And we, the United States of America, are supposed to be afraid of you. You're threatening us, Vlad. Regime change. That's right. Not a war hawk. I always say this. I'm not a war hawk. A war hawk is someone who goes out war adventuring. Why? Because, they've got some sort of commitment to what Eisenhower called the vast military-industrial complex. It's all about the defense spending. Let's justify that we need more bombs by going and kicking Grenada's ass or going into Africa and fucking up some warlord, right? That's what a hawk does. A patriot, understands that a number of years ago, again, Americans came together and they started voting for people. We utilized democracy. And what we decided all those years ago was, and granted, this was during the Cold War, that we were going to spend the most money ever on defense. So we went down that road. There are a lot of other options we could have done with that money. We could have done things. We could be Sweden right now. I don't know. Do you want to be Sweden? Ain't nobody afraid of Sweden. Ain't nobody worried that Sweden is going to come and kick their ass if they step out of line. But people do worry about that with us. And that's the trade that we made. We said, you know what? We're not going to have... I don't want to be offensive because now we're dabbling into political stuff. We're not going to have smart kids, okay? We're going to have like really basic education. The kids are going to be all forced to like, I don't know, pee in cat boxes in Michigan or whatever. I know that didn't happen. I'm just having fun. So we built the defense, right? Now, I don't know, had I been of voting age back in the 1970s when we really started this massive arms race against the Soviets, I don't know. I don't know how I would have voted. Maybe I'd have been a man of the time. Who knows? But all I know is that I live in 2024 and we committed to that. And we got dumb kids and badass weapons. And if we're not going to go war hawking, which I don't want to do, remember, I don't want to fight, banana republics and stuff just to justify the constant churn of our military industrial complex. No, what I want is to use this. If we got dumb kids and bad health or whatever else they would have used that money for. If we're going to have that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use this military and we're going to do regime change. We're not going to go war hawking. We're not just going to fight people for fighting them. No, we're going to use this military industrial complex, this massive defense buildup, the biggest, strongest, most badass and frightening military the world has ever known. We're going to use it for good. We're going to use it for two cases, regime change, Iran and Russia. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming for you. Why? Because they're the only two nations on the planet at the moment that is really fucking everything up for everybody else. Now, I know there's a bunch of minor nations out there who are causing little problems in their neck of the woods, but on a global scale, it's fucking Iran and it's fucking Russia. And we need to commit as a global community to ending the regimes in both nations. Thank you. We got the shit. We got the shit. We got to do it. We got to use it for good. Are we morally bound to our commitment to defending the world or not? Because it don't seem like we are. Seems like we're committed to, going into Central Africa and wiping out, warlord dictatorships and then claiming victory. Let's go. And by the way, don't you worry about this NATO war. I'm not sending American troops in there. That's not what I want. We've got the technology in the world. I, of course, want NATO to defend their own region. We'll use American advisors. I don't want any American frontline troops. I want Germany to step up. I want Poland to step up. I want Czechoslovakia to step up. I want, if so, France. What else they got over there? What do they got? Sweden, Finland? They got anything? I want these people to step up, being fully backed by the support of the United States and the world's largest defense mechanism. That's what I want. I don't want kids from Kansas dying in the Donbas region. That's not what I'm calling for. That's unnecessary. We're the biggest motherfucker on the block, and we've got the biggest, meanest bat. And it's about time that we stop letting punks like North Korea. I almost said South Korea. We like them. They just make bad music and movies. North Korea, China, and Russia, and Iran. There you go. I added North Korea. But honestly, I think China can keep North Korea in check. I'm not worried about North Korea because of China. I'm telling you, you eliminate Iran and you eliminate Russia from the equation, China could fall in line. China be like, all right, I don't think China's as terrible as we make it out to be. You know who's terrible? Iran and Russia. They're terrible. We can work with China. They are economically a little bit intimidating to us because of their slave warfare or their slave labor. But, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I really feel like if we just got rid of regimes in Russia and Iran, we'd be better off. All right, there you go. Oh, Pugs wants a nuclear war. Well, yeah, whatever. Hey, here's the thing. We're fine. Okay, we're fine. Stop it. They're not going to nuke us. Nobody can nuke us. Okay, I know that was a big scare. I lived my whole life in the 1970s thinking that I'm going to have to roll under my desk in school because the bombs are going to drop. Guess what we know now in 2024? None of that shit would have worked. There's ORARs. That's right. All of our missile ranges of our intercontinental ballistic missiles that were supposedly able to destroy entire cities within 20 minutes at pinpoint accuracy. None of that shit worked. You know how we know that? Well, after the fall of the Soviet Union, we realized that half of the so-called Russian missile ranges were Potemkin villages. Do you know what Potemkin villages are? They're fabricated. Well, Potemkin village is like a... They weren't real. They were cardboard. They looked like they were missile ranges when you had, intelligence and all that kind of stuff, but they weren't real. And not only that, the guidance systems didn't work. You know why? Because in the 1970s, they hadn't really invented or perfected the use of satellites. So all of these missiles that were supposed to be coming in 20 minutes to kill us all would have never fucking made it. And you know how I know this? Because here we are in 2024. And we still can't launch a rocket 10 out of 10 times and get it out of our atmosphere. But somehow when it came to missile technology, we thought, oh, we're going to launch. They're all going to launch. They're all going to go up. No, half of them are going to explode in their silos. Half of them are going to go. You know why? Because it was 1972. And they didn't have that shit that we thought they had. Neither did we. So I'm not afraid of Russia. Not afraid of Russia. Never been afraid of Russia. You're a tiny little punk nation. Hot chicks, though. I'll give them that. Oh, my God. You know what? This is the thing. This is why we need regime change. Do you remember the first time there was sort of regime change? And that would be the fall of the Soviet Union around 1992, around. I think that's when it happened. So when the Soviet Union fell apart, and we'll call that the first incarnation of regime change, what did the world learn? What did we learn immediately? That Russian chicks are fucking smoke shows. We learned that Russian women were super hot immediately. How did we learn this? Porn. That's right. As soon as the Soviet Union fell, we were just flooded with super hot Russian porn stars. And we're all like, wait, I thought all Russian women had babushkas and went evening wear. I thought they were all ugly. No, turns out Russian women are hot. You know who else are hot? And we're going to benefit from this after we have the regime change in Iran? Persian girls. Oh, Persian girls and Russians. I'm telling you, regime change just so that we can get some hotter chicks going, right? Barney says, what good are 11 aircraft carriers if you're not going to topple a regional power now and then? Yeah, you're probably true. I get that. I get that argument, man. I get that argument. But I'm one who believes that if we are going to accept that we have committed to having this big giant fucking baseball bat, that maybe we ought to use it for good. Maybe we shouldn't be a dick with the baseball bat. And I think being a dick with the baseball bat would be, just lobbing missiles into Guyana every couple of years because, they're making some noise. No, the moral thing would be to use that to make the world a better place, free of villains and tyrants and all that good stuff. All right, so basically, long story short, hey, Russia, suck my dick. Not afraid. Popular vote numbers are in. Day after, I'm like, dude, it was asking. It was a mandate. Turns out, not so much. It wasn't a mandate. Trump's not going to be able to go. Well, he's going to because he's Trump. He says what he wants. It's not technically a mandate. I was shocked by this. I thought for sure that a mandate is a political win that encompasses more than 50% of the electorate. Okay, that means that a majority of people in the country voted for you. It wasn't that. It wasn't a mandate. It actually fell under 50%. I mean, did you see the Electoral College, though? Did you see the so-called blue wall, right? I mean, look, man, he dominated it. I don't like the dude. I've told you, look, I'm pretty solid on my take on Donald Trump since about 1988. I always thought he was funny. I always thought he was just like this funny, not serious. I certainly never thought he was a good businessman because all I ever knew about him was that his shit was going bankrupt. But whatever. That's my feeling on him. So I don't know what to tell you. It's not a popular vote. He's going to do what he wants to do. He won. It was big. It was way bigger than anybody thought. I'll give him that. Certainly see, but not a mandate. Technically not a mandate. That shit bothers him because he wants that. He's like, he's very, very, very decoration driven. He wants that medal on his chest, mandate medal or whatever. This dude's likely to make a mandate medal. This dude's likely to start wearing shit, I'm just saying. But it's okay, because it's what we as Americans came together and voted for. Again, I can't sit here and say 15 crazy on there and 15 crazy on there and 70% of us in the middle. It's the 70% of us in the middle who voted for this guy. It was those of us. Oh, of course, I couldn't bring myself to vote for her either. I didn't vote. That's me. I didn't vote. I think I made this decision like back in September, where I said I'm not going to vote because I want to be able to be completely. So I didn't vote. I probably would have written in. There was somebody I was going to write in. What was the name? It was something funny, but also that would kind of work. I was like, that could work. I don't remember. Anyway. Okay, how about this? So Delaware elected the first trans member of Congress. Yeah, the Democrats gave us a trans secretary. Was there someone in the president's cabinet who was trans? When they're like, come on. I mean, I'm on Twitter and Facebook. I've seen some of you people forward pictures of this person. I don't know who it was. Was it involved with the Navy? I don't know. But it was a dude it's a woman who was born a dude who was not. So whatever. So anyway, the glass ceiling on trans in the upper echelons of federal government seems to have been broken the last time around. But now we got a congressional trans person. All right. So here's what's going on. And again, that's fine. Like, who am I to say if it's fine or not? I'm just saying I don't want to give anyone the impression that I'm doing anything other than just looking at this very surgically. So here's what's happening. So there's a trans person from Delaware, trans woman. Is that the way to say it? I want to make sure I do it right. Trans woman was a man, is now a woman. Trans woman, transed into a woman. Make sure I get that right. This is all new to me. This is all new in the last couple of years. We're all trying to just do our best. All right. So trans woman congressperson elected from Delaware, Nancy Mace, who is a congresswoman from South Carolina. Is she from South Carolina or North Carolina? Doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's like getting distracted by if someone's from North Dakota or South Dakota. Who the hell cares? She's from one of those places, Nancy Mace. And she has introduced a bill that is going to ban this Delaware trans woman from using the bathroom, the woman's bathroom in Congress. Here we go. Oh, man. This is okay. My first impression of this, right? Because I don't ever want to make trouble. I just always want to be cool. Just okay, whatever. I always try to be cool. So my first impression of this is, what a bitch. Like that's my first impression was she's fucking with her. She's like right there, day one. Nancy Mace is like, I don't want to be in a girl's room with someone who was born biologically a man. Okay, that's fair concern. I mean, yeah, I guess people have that concern. Small, emotionally immature people have that concern. But okay, I mean, I get people can have that concern. What are the chances you guys are going to be in the bathroom at the same time? Just stop. All right, so that's my initial response to it. Again, just because I'm this guy in the middle and I'm like, oh, can we just stop fighting about stupid shit? Just let her go take a piss wherever she wants, or he, or they, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. Tired of this being an issue. Calling it bullying. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that hot chick, she's hot. I'm sorry. I think she's hot. I think her and Boebert are so hot. You want to bring the country together? Lesbian porn. Boebert and Ocasio-Cortez. That's how you bring the country together. No pun intended. Ocasio-Cortez called it bullying. She's like, that's bullying. I don't know what she sounds like. She's kind of toothy, though, isn't she? Alexandria Cortez, kind of toothy. I mean, it's not a deal breaker. I think she's pretty. I think she's hot. I think she's definitely got it hot. All right, so here's the deal. Actually, you know what? Let me do this again, because this is one of those sensitive issues. I want to make sure that we get the facts out. So I will read you the important parts of the article just so we know. Just plain bullying. Congress erupts over bill targeting new transgender member. Representative Nancy Mace. And by the way, let me tell you, Nancy Mace is kind of hot. Nancy Mace is kind of hot. I know I was just talking about Ocasio-Cortez, and I know I was talking about, Boebert, kind of hot. So is Nancy Mace. What is this? When did this start happening? This is a podcast. Let's trace back when hot chicks started being allowed in Congress. Let's figure out when that started. Because I honestly can't think of like the first hot congresswoman. Was Liddy Dole hot like in 1982? Were people looking at Liddy Dole going, I don't know. There weren't a lot of chicks. There weren't a lot of chicks in Congress. Now that I'm thinking about it, were there any hot chicks? So who was the first hot chick elected to Congress? And why do I keep wanting to call it Congress? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, Nancy Mace is hot too. Nancy Mace has big old fake jugs. Like, that's another thing that's great about Congress now. Like, not only do they have hot chicks, but they got hot chicks with big old fakies. And they like wear tight clothes because, a congressman needs to be seen to have big, giant, pert boobs. Representative Nancy, here, you think I'm kidding? Look at this. Oh my God. Here's a picture. Oh, let me show you this picture. This is not a good picture of Nancy Mace, by the way. She looks like, ironically, Nancy Mace looks like a trans man here, or a trans woman here. Isn't that funny? Like, when I first saw this picture, I thought, oh, is that the new trans delegate? And then I'm like, oh no, look at those jugs. That's Nancy Mace. I'm like, no, those are Nancy Mace's jugs. All right, look at this. Here you go. Jesus, seriously. Nancy Mace looks like a tranny here. Check this out. Look at her. Look at. First of all, the jugs. She's got nice jugs. She's got big old fake boobs. Nancy Mace with her big old fakies. Come on, man. She looks pretty tranny right there, doesn't she? She does, dude. Come on. She looks kind of tranny. Jeff says, assistant health secretary. All right, that was the one. It was the assistant health secretary. Assistant health secretary? Okay, so not a cabinet position. So that glass ceiling, I guess, is still out there. Nina says we shouldn't have stupid people in Congress. I love you, Nina. We go back, you and me. Shut up. Come on, Nina. That horse is out of the barn. Stupid people in Congress. We've had stupid people in Congress since Congress was created. It's just not something we're ever going to really be able to 100% get competent, capable people in those positions. We're just not. As long as it's a popularity contest where we're electing. I got to tell you, honestly, though, she is kind of hot. This is a really bad look for her, though. That is not good. All right, there you have it. That's Nancy Mace. She's the one causing the problem. She's running around the halls looking like a tranny herself. Rep Nancy Mace set off a firestorm on Capitol Hill with a bill to keep Sarah McBride. Is that her name? Is she a country singer? Is there a country singer named Sarah McBride? Rep Nancy Mace set off a firestorm on Capitol Hill with a bill to keep Sarah McBride, soon to be the first transgender member of Congress, from accessing the women's bathroom at the Capitol. Why it matters. I love it when they do those like stupid people side notes. Why it matters. Keep reading. I know you have no attention span, but keep reading. Here's why you should keep reading. Because your brain is numb right now. You have no idea what this means. So here we are. We're going to feed your brain why it matters. The measure is not being immediately dismissed by Republican leadership, with House Speaker Mike Johnson telling Axios, we're going to talk about that. We're going to be working on that issue. These fuckers do nothing. They do nothing but stupid shit like this. Yep, we're going to make it a major part of the... for fuck's sake, give her a bucket. What? I don't... It is obvious that Nancy Mace is just making political hay out of this issue. I don't think that Nancy Mace... Really, like if Nancy Mace wasn't a congresswoman, I don't think she'd have a big problem with this. I think Nancy Mace would probably be like, yeah, whatever, it's not my thing, but coexist. It's political hay. She's making it a thing. And Mike Johnson is making it a thing. And then there'll be a whole bunch of other people making it a thing. And look, let me tell you, all of these people on the right that are going to be making it a thing, guess what happens next? Then the people on the left have to make it a thing. And now it's the only thing. Now we've got some probably perfectly nice. I mean, I don't know. She's a Democrat. So if you're on the right, you fucking hate her anyway. And if, you're on the left, you're like, she's a hero. But whatever. I don't know who this person is. This might be a nice person. This might be a nice person going through some shit that thankfully I didn't have to go through. I don't think I'm much of a man, but I certainly do know that I am a male. There's no confusion about that. I mean, could you imagine just for a moment? I mean, could you just, well, I guess I think the first question we must settle is this real or are they pretending? Right? So when we talk about the trans issue, let's just start from the very fucking beginning so that we can have this conversation. Do you believe that they're just pretending, or do you really think that there is something going on in there? I happen to believe that there really is something going on. I believe that nobody commits themselves to those kinds of issues. Lifestyle, the way life is going to be just difficult. It's a real thing. Okay, for me, it's a real thing. Do I understand it? Not a fucking clue. I don't know. I can't. Again, like I said, I was born the way I was. Now I can try and be empathetic and I can try and be thoughtful and considerate of their condition and think of, what must that be like? And that's the best I can do. But so from the beginning, I'm just going to tell you that I personally believe that there is something going on there. We have to choose our words carefully. Is it a mental defect? Defect. Fuck, right? That's a word. That's a word that makes that whole thing different. Well, I think there is something mentally abnormal from people who do not have difficulty aligning who they are in here with who they are down there. Okay, so there's an abnormality. Okay, so recapping. I believe that they're not faking. I believe it's a real thing, and we are acknowledging now that it is abnormal from what is the mainstream. Okay, so now we have that. Now's where the compassion has to come in. Now's where the compassion, you got to be like, but for the grace of God, right? I guess, genetic roll of the dice that I don't have to deal with that. What are you dealing with? That's the other thing. We all deal with something. Okay, you're not trans, but you're an alcoholic. You're a fucking bad drunk, and you've ruined your family over it. But yeah, you're not trans. Look, we all have shit. You're not trans, but you're depressed. You have serious depression, and you have more than once been on the verge of taking your own life. So yeah, you're not trans, but you have something else. We all have something else. Trying to be empathetic and trying to understand what other people go through, I think is a really important step for all of us. Sort of navigate the construct of the next 10 years or whatever it is that we're looking at here. I don't even know how much longer I'll be alive. So, man, Nancy Mace is just being a bitch to me. Like, to me, she's just being a bitch. It seems like maybe there is a more... If Nancy Mace was legitimately concerned about this issue, then I would think that a compassionate and decent person would have handled it more privately. Would have handled it, but they don't want to handle it privately. Transparency of the Congress. I want to make sure everybody knows I hate trans people. But she had no compassion or empathy. So now Nancy Mace is making this tranny person like, hey, new kid in school, you fucking suck. We all hate you. Way to go, mean girl. Never would have thought Nancy Mace was a mean girl. Oh, absolutely, I would have. Nancy Mace is a total mean girl. You can see that in her. It's kind of why I think she's sort of hot. Mean girls are hot. They're hot. Okay, so now let's talk about the person. Let's talk about the new representative, Sarah McBride. So what do you do if you're her? Did you run for Congress to be a tranny in Congress? Is that what you did? Or did you run for Congress to actually be an effective congressperson? Is your genetic situation, is that your sole defining characteristic for being in Congress? Because if it is, here we go. She's going to make this the whole biggest thing, right? But if she wants to be an actual congressperson and maybe even do a lot more to mainstream the notion of these people, these kinds of people going through things like Sarah McBride, transitioning people, maybe she ought to just let it slide. Maybe she ought to do the Jackie Robinson. I mean, we have an example from history of somebody who broke a glass ceiling and the tools and the strategy that they utilized to make it successful, and that was Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson didn't respond to any of the "hey, N-word," or "go back to the zoo, you monkey," or players. Jackie Robinson didn't respond to it. Jackie Robinson was there to play baseball, not be an advocate for the black race, not be somebody who was going to make a bigger problem than there already was. He took so much. Well, you shouldn't have to take it. That's what a hero does. A hero takes it because he understands the greater good. And that's what Jackie Robinson understood. That for him to truly be the first, there has to be ones that come after. And he knew that that could only be possible if he rose to this occasion in this moment and behaved and carried himself in a way that was above everyone else. You're the first trans person in Congress. Maybe you don't make the whole trans thing your singularly defining issue and you just move forward. It's not the same thing. Yeah, I know. It was a lot worse for black people. Yeah, it was a lot worse for Jackie Robinson. It's not the same thing at all. You're right. So maybe she can just buckle up, put her nose to the grindstone, and maybe try and be someone who we think of as a congressman first and not the first trans congressperson. Moving on. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Okay, so what's this Joe and Mika story? These two freaks. Again, I can't watch them because it's way too distracting thinking about them having sex. And I don't know, maybe I'm a broken individual. I can't look at them within 30 seconds going, wonder when the last time they had sex was. They're on MSNBC. I don't watch MSNBC. MSNBC is for a bunch of lunatics. Those people are insane. They hired Al Sharpton. Okay, I told you that. I've been pretty good on MSNBC for 15 years. The minute they hired Al Sharpton, I said, I'll never watch this channel again. I know who Al Sharpton is. I know what he did. I was around in the 80s. I remember. So stop it. You can't clean his image because you're thinking that, well, half the audience is only in their 30s and they don't remember what he was like. No, MSNBC, you made a deal with the devil there, and I will never watch your stupid liberal show. And that's the other reason why I don't watch it, because it is. MSNBC knows what they are. They're liberal. Fox knows what they are. They're right-wing. That's why I don't watch Fox either. I hate you people. First of all, why are all you women dressed like you're going to prom? It's 6 o'clock in the fucking morning. I'll give you at least Mika. You know, Mika on The Morning Joe. I like the way she dresses. I noticed that today. I don't watch her regularly, but I was watching video clips to talk about this story, and I saw her today, and I said, you know what, look at that. I prefer the way Mika dresses than those Fox bimbos who all look like they're in a beauty pageant. Look at my sparkling sequin gown at 7 o'clock. That's weird. That's weird. It doesn't make sense, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. Mika dresses like she's going to like a spin class. I'm not kidding. Like Mika today was wearing a sweat jacket that was like pulled up, and she had like a little t-shirt on underneath it, and she's on the news, and it looks good because that's the way you're supposed to look on the news. You're not supposed to look like you're going to prom like all these bimbos on Fox. All right, so anyway, Mika and Joe, because of course they're card-carrying members of the left, being the morning show there on MSNBC, they spent the better part of the last, 5, 6, 7 years just shitting all over Trump. They hate Trump. MSNBC hates Trump. I mean, I do too, but, for different reasons, I think. Actually, if I'm being honest, I don't even hate him. I really don't. I just don't take him serious. That's all. I'm like, I don't hate him. I really don't. I know I say that, but that's, me being hyperbolic and performing. I just don't think he's a serious man. So here we are. I'm going to survive. I'm going to be fine. Again, I'm a middle-aged white guy. Nothing wrong with them to me. All right, so Mika and Joe have been shitting on Trump for years, and then Trump wins re-election, and they get on a plane and they fly right down to Mar-a-Lago, and they're like, "We want to be friends again." Actually, I don't know if that's the deal. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they went. It does seem awful. I mean, how can you? How can you be one? And then tail between leg. No credibility. Those two people, no credibility. You ever hear the story about Joe Scarborough and why he's not a congressman anymore? That's another interesting thing about Joe Scarborough. Like Mika Brzezinski, I understand why she is on MSNBC. And Mika Brzezinski has always been a news reporter. She was a news reporter for NBC News and all that kind of stuff. Mika Brzezinski live at the Pentagon, that kind of stuff. That's what she did before that. But even before that, she came from a very well-established Democratic family, a family that was incredibly important. Her father, Mikhail Brzezinski, was it Mikhail Brzezinski or was it? Anyway, one of Jimmy Carter's top Soviet advisors and experts. So that's the family that she comes from. She comes from that. Joe Scarborough was a super conservative Panhandle, Florida congressman, Republican. And he's hosting mornings on MSNBC. Folks, it's all a game. None of these people, you're the only ones who are really married into these ideas. These people are all just, spinning plates and doing dances for you. So Joe Scarborough, he's a congressman in the Panhandle there in Florida. And then a dead girl turned up in his office. You never hear about this story anymore. And there were all these things. Congressman Joe Scarborough was under questioning for the murder of a staffer. It never went anywhere. I mean, it was totally fine. But then he got out of politics and he went straight to TV. So, he's got some sketch behind him there. Anyway, they're taking a lot of heat from everybody. Well-deserved heat, Joe and Mika. Not for going to see Trump. That's fine. That's a decision. A lot of people go see him. They're taking heat because they are such feckless and shameless wimps. They talk shit on this man forever, and then it's like, it's kind of funny. It's nice to see people like that be humiliated the way Joe and Mika are. All right, there you go. They've been humiliated. They raided Diddy's jail cell. And you guys saw this morning. So they tossed Diddy's jail cell. I don't know if he's getting his salad tossed. It's a prison term. Let's see what I did there. It was terrible. That was ham-fisted. I could have worked that line better. It didn't work. I'm sorry. Anyway, he got his salad tossed. I believe that's at one of the freak-offs. No, he got his cell tossed, and they took his cell phone. So they went into P. Diddy's cell looking for contraband, and they took his cell phone. Prisoners get cell phones? Why does Diddy have a cell phone? Was that the contraband? Or is it just like, I don't know. Anyway, they took a phone from him. They said that he was making all kinds of notes and he was giving instructions to people. They believe that there may even be a situation brewing where we've got some witness intimidation being, manipulated there by Diddy from his prison cell. So they tossed his cell and they ended up grabbing his phone and they found all kinds of things that they say are problematic and that he's doing in there. Anyway, moving on. I so don't want to cover every little aspect of the Diddy situation, but from time to time, when new things happen, I'll mention them. My nemesis, this guy, freak. Here we go. It's just my nemesis. Apparently, my nemesis is being appointed or named Transportation Secretary of the United States. Those of you who know me, you've heard this story. I've been talking about this guy for years. He's my nemesis. Sean Duffy is his name. He was, for a short period of time, he was a congressman from Wisconsin. He's married to Rachel Campos, who I guess is a Fox News person. I don't know. Rachel Campos is from Real World San Francisco, okay? She was like the super irritating chick that everybody hated in the house. And she was nothing but mean to Pero. I don't know if you remember Pero. Remember Pero? Pedro had AIDS. We watched Pedro die of AIDS on San Francisco Real World. And like she was, and then like all of a sudden at the end, she's like, Pedro is my life. I love Pedro. They said his name, Pedro. They said it like that. Anyway, I just thought she was always kind of bullshit with the whole Pedro thing. She was like, I don't like Pedro. And then suddenly it's like, he's like my brother. So Pedro died of AIDS. I don't know if Pedro died of AIDS during the Real World. No, he couldn't have. No way. Yeah, wait a second. Wait. You're not going to cast an AIDS patient on the Real World. Although it was like 1995, so maybe. Who knows? You know, like I said, we had no rules back then. Four college kids from around the country and one terminal AIDS patient. Can they live together on this season of the Real World? No. All right, so Rachel Campos, she was in the Real World San Francisco. Her and Sean Duffy, congressman, they got married. Sean Duffy is being named by Donald Trump Secretary of Transportation, and I have a long, vicious history with Sean Duffy. Sean Duffy is my nemesis. All right, so here's what happened. So like back in 1997 or 1996, I don't know when it was somewhere in there. I think it aired in 97. I think the season aired in 97, but it was recorded in 95, 96. All right, so I was cast, yours truly. Hi, how are you? Yeah, it was so exciting too. It only lasted 3 days, but it was still exciting. So I was cast on the Real World Boston. Remember Boston? Okay. So I was cast on the Real World Boston. Now here back in the day, this is how they did it. They had different regions of the country, and they would just get like 500 people from this region, 500 people from that region, and you had to move through your region. At the time, I was a crazy, wacky stuntman on like the #1 syndicated morning show in the Midwest, and I was doing crazy shit. And when MTV came and said, we want you to put this out on your airways, we're looking for people for the Real World, you know, and so we did it as a promotion on our station. Yeah, you want to be in the Real World? So my host was like, Pugs, you ought to do it. I'm like, yeah, I oughta. So I had to make, you have to make a video. And that was one of the things. They were like, Mary Ellis Bunham, the producers of the Real World, they're like, you guys have to make a video. And then you got to send it in, and then we'll look at all these videos, and we'll see if you're interesting or not. So because I was working at a big radio station, and one of the people I worked with was a reporter at the local TV station, I got an entire news crew to make my video. Seriously. I had this wicked, awesome video of me doing stunts on the streets, of me on stage at like Poplar Creek, doing all this crazy stuff in front of 20,000 people. My video was awesome, and they hired me like right out of the top. They're like, yeah. We're gonna get the Midwest radio stunt boy in the house. We're gonna see what he's going to do. So I was very excited, and we had a big party on the air, and everybody was all jazzed about it. And I'm like, I'm going to Boston. And then I get a call 3 days later. Apparently, my birthday would have occurred during filming. I would have turned 27, I think is what it was. I would have turned 27 while filming. And that's a deal breaker. Couldn't have anyone over 26. Couldn't be over 26 and be on the Real World. And because I would have turned. So they told me that I couldn't be it. And they went and they got the backup from the Midwestern region, from Kenosha, Wisconsin, fucking Sean Duffy, who is now about to be. And did you see his tape? Do you remember his tape? Oh, I remember his tape because he was my competition. His big thing was he was a lumberjack. Like, you're from Kenosha. Okay, that's not, yes, Wisconsin. People think, well, that tracks. You could be a lumberjack in Wisconsin. That's like North Wisconsin. Dude, you're from Kenosha. You're a suburb of Chicago. Okay, you're not a lumberjack. And then they show him, he's like rolling logs. That, I got to admit, I was a little bit worried by that. The guy who they're naming as transportation secretary for his MTV audition tape, he demonstrated how he could log roll, you know, where you stand on log, and it was really good. And I remember watching that, and I'm like, fuck. That is not going to work. Still beat him, though. My tape was better than his tape. They chose my tape. So anyway, there you go. Sean Duffy, transportation secretary. Good for him. He ended up marrying Rachel Campos from the San Francisco Real World. Who would I have married? Like, could I have married? Like, if I'd have been swept up in that whole real world, first of all, that would have been a lot of fun. That would have been a lot of fun for like a couple of years in my 20s. Look, I don't want to say that I didn't have fun. I did. I was on a major morning show in Chicago and syndicated all over the Midwest. And then I came to Dallas, and y'all know how much fun we had here for well over a decade. So I had my fun. But it would have been different. Would have been like at a different level. Like, I could have been on Jackass. Seriously, all those shows that like started like right around the mid to late 90s on MTV, if I had made a big enough impression on that house, and I would have. Oh my God, my plan was to just be a fucking wrecking ball. I was going to be a combination of Bluto from Animal House. I was going to be the most memorable guest you ever remember from the real world. But of course, couldn't be that, and 27 for the final week of filming. So we got out. Anyway, congratulations, Sean Duffy. I fucking hate you. You stole my life. All right, let's go. Keep moving. What else do we have here? Oh, you know what? No, now would be a good time for this. Okay. So I'm seeing the story, and I don't know if you guys have seen this story, but it first started really popping across my wire notices this morning. And man, oh man, is it wild. So are you following the story of this girl from Hawaii who was traveling from Hawaii to New York to visit her aunt, and she never showed up, but she's texting her family, but her family doesn't think it's her. And it's pretty scary. It's a pretty scary story. This girl, she's a beautiful young girl. Actually, she's like probably really pretty because I was looking at her description. She's 135 pounds and 5'11". Woo! That's a model. That's like a fashion model. And she's from Hawaii. She's half white and she's half Hawaiian. So she's got that world's most beautiful mix. Come on, I think the world's most beautiful mix is Asian and European. I think you can give me a girl who's half Asian and half European. Oh my God. It's a beautiful, beautiful girl. Some interesting story or some interesting details here about the story. Actually, let me give you the whole details. We'll show you who she is and we'll get a look at her, and then this is one of them Nancy Grace things. If Nancy Grace was still operational, this is the kind of thing that she'd be doing every night. Missing Hawaiian woman, Hannah Kobayashi, spotted in troubling new surveillance footage in Los Angeles. Chilling footage appears to show the final known movements of a Hawaii woman days after she vanished from LAX while heading to New York City for a bucket list vacation. Hannah Kobayashi, 31 years old, flew from her home in Maui via Los Angeles on November the 8th. She was meant to board a connecting flight to New York City, but never arrived. Okay, hold on. She was last seen on closed-circuit television getting off her flight in Los Angeles. So we know that she arrived in Los Angeles. But her distressed family claim that she's since been seen on surveillance video 20 miles away from the airport in downtown LA. In the footage, it is evident that Hannah does not appear to be in good condition, and she is not alone, Kobayashi's aunt, Lori Pigeon, revealed. So she's missing, she's with somebody, and she's showing up on surveillance video in downtown Los Angeles. Let's see here. This video was taken on the evening of November 11th, 3 days after she arrived from Hawaii. Remember, she was flying from Hawaii to get a connecting flight in Los Angeles to fly on to New York. She never got on that connecting flight, but 3 days later, there's closed-circuit video of her wandering around the streets of Los Angeles. Oh, I know what you're thinking. You're like, Pugs, what else don't we know about this girl? What's her history? Has she been institutionalized? Is she a drug addict? What kind of none of that. It's actually a really normal person with no mental health history problems, no drug issues. It's actually a pretty snappy, smart young woman. Let's continue with the story. The video of her in downtown Los Angeles was taken 3 days after she arrived. So she never got on the connecting flight, and 3 days later, she's walking around downtown LA. Due to the ongoing and active nature of this investigation, we are unable to share any further details at this time, the family said. Her tearful aunt shared a video pleading with Kobayashi to get in contact or to come home if she's able to. Let me show you some pictures here. We'll show you some pictures of her. Just a lovely young woman. This is a really weird story. Wait, the details get more details coming. All right, let's see. Okay, so there she is right there. Looks like she's out there mountain climbing or something in Hawaii. Let's see here. What else do we have? Just so you get an idea of what we're looking for. I think they're going to show us. I think we got maybe some video. All right, so this, I don't know what this is. Kobayashi's final post was shared on the, okay, so this is her final Instagram post. I don't know what that is. That's from LAX, though. So she posted from LAX. All right, here she is getting off the plane. Okay? Look at her. She looks like just a lovely young woman. Look at her. She's getting off the plane. She doesn't look worse for wear here. She looks like someone who just got off a plane from Hawaii to LA. Everything seems to be normal. Nothing amiss. And now until 3 days later, when she popped up on a closed-circuit television in downtown in Los Angeles, this had been the last time we'd seen her. And it's being described by the family that this new video capture of her, she looks like she's distressed and she's not alone. Well, who's she with? Up until now, the last clue, here, let me stop sharing this. You don't need to see that. There you go. Up until now, the last clue Kobayashi's family had was from her final post on Instagram, which revealed that she attended a LeBron James event at the Grove on November 10th. Okay. Follow me. She takes off from Hawaii on a bucket list trip to visit her aunt in Manhattan. She lands in Los Angeles and is supposed to get on a connecting flight that will continue on to New York. She didn't get on that connecting flight. Instead, she seems to have left the airport and then 2 days after posted on her Instagram about how she went to a LeBron James event in Los Angeles. That was on the 10th she posted that. Then on the 11th, 3 days after missing the connecting flight from LAX, she is seen wandering around downtown Los Angeles looking, quote, distressed and not alone. I don't know who she's with. No description of who she's with. I don't know. Up until now, the last clue of Kobayashi's family had was that her final post on Instagram revealed that she'd attended a LeBron James event at the Grove on November 10th. So she is around Los Angeles. Her desperate family claim they are now working tirelessly to get as much information as they can. But her sister, Sydney Kobayashi, said both the LAPD and LAX are not making it easy for us. She wrote in a Facebook group looking to help track Kobayashi down. Here's what she wrote, the sister. We have the FBI involved helping to expedite a subpoena for camera footage, Hannah's phone logs, her credit card and credit card statements, and also to get into her personal accounts. So that's apparently what they're trying to get the FBI to help them with. Kobayashi was seen in a separate YouTube video outside of the LeBron James event wearing the same clothing she was seen when getting off the plane. So 3 days later, she's walking around Los Angeles in the same clothes, going to LeBron James events, looking disheveled, not contacting her family. Oh, but wait, she is contacting her family. The plot thickens. A friend claims she received a concerning text message from Kobayashi's phone on November 11th, which indicated that she might be in some trouble. Here's what it says. All right, this is a text that was sent from the missing girl's phone. It arrived at the missing girl's best friend's phone. Here's what it said. I got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds for someone I thought I loved. Kind of a weird, random. The family also noted that the young artist's, apparently she's an artist, the family also noted that the young artist's phone has been off now since September 11th. The last known location it pinged was at Los Angeles International Airport earlier in that day. Okay, so there you have it. So she's, based on a series of texts sent from Kobayashi's phone, her family believed that she has had a spiritual awakening and ahead of returning to the airport. Let me try and read this again. Take a break. Based on a series of texts sent from Kobayashi's phone, her family believe she, quote, had a spiritual awakening and ahead of returning to the airport. That sentence doesn't even fucking make sense. That sentence doesn't make sense. Those words don't go together. Okay, I graduated with a journalism degree, so I'm a little bit hypersensitive to this kind of poor journalism. It says here that she was at LAX and that she said that she was scared in another text sent to her mother. So people in her life are getting these random texts at weird times with no context to them, but they're all alarming. Sydney, a sister, added she texted her sister Sydney. She texted her that she was scared and that she couldn't come back home or something. It was just these really weird texts. Both Kobayashi's mother and sisters believe that the messages did not sound like her and wonder if somebody else was using her phone. Yi said, we share the same location advice. Okay, so there you go. So that's all the facts. That's what you have. Now, do you want to hear the weirdest part about this story? She wasn't alone on the flight. On the flight with her, the missing girl, on the flight with her was her ex-boyfriend. They had apparently been together for 2 years, and they had planned this trip together, and they both bought the plane tickets together, and then they broke up. And apparently it was a pretty bad breakup. And yet he was on the plane with her. The ex-boyfriend was on the plane with the girl who is now missing. Now, you would probably go, hey, that seems kind of sketch. Let's go talk to him. He caught the connecting flight. He actually caught the connecting flight and continued on to New York. So is this maybe a situation where she didn't think her ex-boyfriend was going, right? After they break up, well, I'm still going to New York. And, she doesn't think he's going or whatever. And then she shows up for the flight and the ex-boyfriend's on the plane and it freaks her out because he just landed in Los Angeles, got on the connecting flight and continued on to New York, landed in New York, and everybody's blowing up his phone. Hey, did you kill your girlfriend? He's like, what? I saw her on the flight. How loud is that? I've gone over the 2:00 time period. I only really have my studio here until 2:00. That's when the studio actually has to become a real functioning studio. Can you guys hear they're raising some new artwork into the rafters, and it sounds like they're doing some vacuuming before. How bad is that? Can you hear it? Like, is it really loud? Do I need to end the show? I mean, we've already gone 2 hours. I've got more stuff to talk about, though. Anyway, that story of what is going on. What is the latest? Is there anything? Just trying to scan through and see if there's any more. I don't know. All right. The mysterious case of the missing Hana Kobayashi will continue. ... I mean, what do you think? What do you think happened here? I mean, I know I told you what I think. I think she freaked out because of her boyfriend, maybe bought some drugs, maybe got a little tripped out, met a dude. Actually, I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but this feels bad, doesn't it? This feels weird. This feels like maybe she's not dead, but something bad is happening to her. I don't know why that needed applause. It's kind of strange. All right, what else do we have here? We've covered my nemesis, covered the Diddy jail raid, Hana Kobayashi. We've talked about her. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. No, you know what? Let me run through these really quick. I'll come back to that one. I'll end on that one. Bob Love died. Sorry, you don't know who Bob Love is. I do. Got to be honest with you. I thought Bob Love died about 30 years ago. I didn't know he was still alive. So who's Bob Love? Bob Love is the first name raised to the rafters at the United Center. He is a Chicago Bulls legend, a Chicago basketball favorite going back to the 60s and 70s. One of the best in the era, the great Hall of Famer Bob Love has died. I don't know how old he was. He was like 80-something. I honestly thought that he died a long time ago. Felt bad about that. But Bob Love was great. Look at all those old videos, man. I know you've never seen this because why the hell would you be watching old Chicago Bulls videos from the 1970s? You get out there, you see Bob Love, Norm Van Leer, Jerry Sloan, all in those Bull uniforms. It's very cool. Very cool time. They sucked, but... CC, you can't hear anything, really. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really, all right. That's great to know. Because I got more stuff that I want to do. All right, the great Bob Love. Oh, here's a cool one. All right, here's another cool story. Anybody in the chat room, seen our boy Ross Rubio? He's the only one I can think of on this one. Got some other friends, but I don't think there's that. Do we have any drummers? Any drummers in the chat room? Other than Ross? Ross is one of Dallas Fort Worth. He's a great drummer. He's one of the best drummers in the area, is what I'm trying to say. He's so this might be something for Ross he might be interested in. The band Primus is looking for a new drummer. But they're not just looking for a new drummer. They're looking for anybody. They're like, let's go. We're going to have a whole process. We are looking for the next great drummer who can really, do whatever Primus needs. All right, here's what it says. I'll show you this. This is the post they put out. Let me get it all big. There it is. All right, and we'll read it together just in case any of you stick men want to give old Primus a shot. Here's what it says. We are currently taking submissions from all points in the universe for the position of Primus drummer percussionist. Seeking a well-mannered, affable individual with original sensibility and aesthetic, possessing a desire to open new doors in the creative world. Flashy chops are wonderful, but groove, pocket, and the ability to listen, react, and contribute to the musical conversation is a must. Submit resume and recent video performance to drumsearch@primusville.com. I got to imagine that if you're truly a great musician, like if you're truly a great drummer, that Primus would be a band you'd want to play with, right? You'd want, because those guys are like musically, they're not writing pop songs, okay? They're not Nickelback. They're doing like really sort of interesting avant-garde almost stuff within the understood commercial rock and roll space. Although they've never really been commercial, but they've got a couple. Winona's Big Brown Beaver, right? That was a hit. South Park theme. Heading down South Park. I guess they got stuff. They got stuff. Les Claypool, man, that dude is awesome. Is he the most entertaining bass player of all time? Name a more entertaining bass player. Paul McCartney. All right. Les can't write songs, and so I guess if we're doing it by that criteria. Anyway, Primus, if you're into it, there you go. Here's your opportunity. Primus is looking for a drummer. Is it you? Who knows? Let's talk about the Cowboy game last night. We're going to spend a whole lot of time about what we saw on the field because we all know what we saw on the field. We saw an absolutely terrible football team. And it's a strange thing for me to say here in week 10, 11, wherever we are in the NFL season, because I remember just remember All In? You guys remember All In? Remember when Jerry's like, we all in? I'm not, I'm not a football expert. Would never walk around claiming to be one. Watch a lot of football. And I kind of got to believe that the so-called football experts, that's pretty much all they're doing too. They're just watching the same shit I'm watching. I'm an old man. I've been watching it a lot of years. Got a lot of research in that head. Oh shit! Hold on. I'm sorry. I just got completely distracted by that. But point is this: I thought the Cowboys were good. Again, I'm no expert. I thought the Cowboys were good. I mean, you could take me back to like March of last year. I'm like, I just need a running back. Of course, they didn't get the running back. They gave a Zeke back. It's like great Zeke. Maybe my Bears can roll back Matt Forte next week. Hey Bears. Can we maybe sign Matt Forte off of a beach somewhere in Mexico? Cowboys suck. They don't suck from a talent standpoint. They've got talent. It's a talented team. They've got, look, all kinds of excuses can be made. Do they have injuries? They've got a lot of injuries. But guess what? So does every other team in the NFL. My Chicago Bears are absolutely blown apart by injuries. We've got nobody. We've had like 10 different offensive line combinations. I mean, we are literally starting 3 guys on the offensive line last week who were on the practice squad. One wasn't even in football 2 weeks ago. And they're starting, trying to protect the number 1 overall draft pick. Point is this. The Cowboys, I thought, were good. Cowboys looked good. They look good on paper. They've got athletes. They seem to have built a team. They seem to have competent coaches. Not to me. I mean, I hate Mike McCarthy. I've been telling you Mike McCarthy's a big clown show for about 20 years. But whatever. I know. Packers, he won there like 20 years ago. Whatever. But, everything looked like Jerry says all in, we're all in. Well, guess what? We're not all in. We're all out. We're all the way out. This team is terrible, not on a talent standpoint, but from a heart standpoint. This team has no heart. This team has no heart, no desire to win, no work ethic, no nothing. Did you watch that game last night? I watched that game last night. That team quit. That team quit. Good teams don't quit. Talented teams quit. Talented teams that are in absolute disarray quit all the time. And that's, you get people scratching their heads going, no, that team was good. What happened? Well, what happened is that you've got a culture that is absolutely fucking humiliating. The Dallas Cowboys culture of 2024 being led, driven, and navigated by Steven and Jerry is the absolute embarrassment of the NFL. Wasn't it somebody on ESPN Monday Night Football last night at some point said, at some point, someone's going to have to explain to Jerry that he's just not managing this team the way 31 other teams in this league are going about it. I mean, and that is like, you don't sit, that is a direct shot across the bow of what Jerry Jones thinks he's great at, which is being a football guy. Well, he's not. Maybe he was once. Maybe there was a time. And I also push back on this whole thing, right? People are like, well, he's not a football guy. They need to go get a football. He's not a football guy. Fuck you. He's a football guy. What do you mean he's not a football guy? Now, my general manager in Chicago is Ryan Poles. This dude's like 35 years old. He's young. He's general manager of the Chicago Bears. He's a football guy. Bears went out and got a football guy. Young Ryan Poles. He's a football guy. How long has Jerry Jones owned the Cowboys? Because he's been a football guy at least that long. Whatever Ryan Poles has learned in the 35 years of his life, and probably, let's be honest, there's probably 10 years of that where he didn't learn anything. But for the last 28 years, whatever it is that Ryan Poles has learned, Jerry has also been in football operating at the highest level. So Jerry is a football guy. Jerry's just a bad football guy. That's the problem. The problem is that Jerry doesn't know what he's doing, and he thinks he does, and there ain't nobody in Cowboy universe who can tell him he's shitting the bed. They tried to over on the Fan a couple of weeks ago. Remember that? Remember how that went? Oh, Jerry didn't handle that well. So the game sucked. They got blown out again. Are they winless at home? Weren't they undefeated at home last year and like the year before? And how does it make it feel, my Cowboy brothers and sisters out there? How did it make you feel watching that game last night from Arlington, AT&T Stadium, being awash in Texans red? I got to believe that a whole bunch of Dallas Cowboys season ticket holders picked up the phone last week and sold them tickets to their friends in Houston, because that stadium was filled with Houston, Texas fans. That should be an embarrassment. It should be an embarrassment for the players, not for the fans. You know what it should be? It's a credit to the Dallas Cowboy fan not showing up for Jerry's little nonsense that he's doing out there. I don't even, what did it end up being? 34-10, something like that. I don't even know what it ended up being. So the game sucked. Well, let's get back to talking about the culture and what is it's not the number one story isn't even really that the team sucks or that they're underperforming. The number one story is all of the distractions that Jerry Jones has been causing this team, especially over the last few weeks. Whether it's stadium issues, whether it's the problem on 105.3, whether it's the not closing the curtains. And then last night, the roof caves in. Last night, now, I don't know if you know the story or not. I mean, I'm sure you do because you watched the game. But the backstory on it is that apparently there was a screaming match in one of the suites at AT&T Stadium between Jerry Jones and representatives from the NFL who were telling him that they were going to cancel the game last night. Apparently, about an hour before the game last night, the NFL was doing whatever it is they needed to cancel that broadcast. Why? Because Jerry decided to close the roof or open the roof. Which was it that he wanted to do? The roof is always closed, or I don't know what it is. I don't give a shit about the roof, whatever. Anyway, Jerry did something with the roof before the game, and there had been storms. This needs to, be clear. There were bad storms in the area yesterday. Big winds, all kinds of stuff. So I'm sure there was shit blown on the roof of that thing. That thing is massive. Now, these winds pick stuff up. There's going to be shit. So when the roof opened up, all of the shit that was on the roof fell down to the floor. And by say all of it, maybe I'm being a bit hyperbolic, but there was one fairly significant chunk of metal that did fall all the way down to field level. It's embarrassing. His stupid stadium is now falling apart. How old is it? 15 years old? It's already fallen apart? $2 billion got you 15 years worth of work. Here's Lisa Salter. Let's let her explain exactly what happened. They've got some video here as well. Oh, wait. Is this the one with video? The one with video? I believe it is. Hold on. Yeah, okay, this is going to be it. The full explanation. Here you go from last night's Monday Night Football debacle featuring the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. Here we go. This is what happened last night as ESPN explained it.
All right, we got a great show coming, and there's a ton to get to as it relates to this, as it relates to the big games in the NFL. We're going to talk to Lisa Salters a little later about Dallas, but she joins us right off the top as the top here in AT&T Stadium is something of a story. Lisa, what can you tell us?
Yes, Scott. Well, it was a bizarre series of events that happened here at AT&T Stadium about 45 minutes or so ago. I was standing in this exact spot getting ready to do a hit for SportsCenter when bits of debris started falling from the sky. They were opening the roof here, and you could see just big chunks of what looked like dust, paper, plastic, and then all of a sudden this came down out of the sky, a big piece of metal.
That is a significant chunk of metal right there. That fell from the ceiling. Now, I don't know if it's included in this video where you can actually see it sort of fluttering like a feather, but don't for a minute think that when that hits human flesh at field level, that's going to feel like a feather. This thing could have cut someone's head off. Somebody's just walking on the sideline, not paying attention, and this thing just kind of flutters down. I don't know if it would have killed somebody, but it certainly could have injured somebody. This is a bad thing to have happen. Shit's falling onto the field. Let's let Lisa Salter continue.
It just kind of floated down and fell onto the field. Again, this happened when they started opening the roof here. I asked the Cowboys PR staff, what is going on? And I was told that, like we saw, a piece of metal came loose and fell to the field with some additional small debris while the roof was in the process of being opened.
All right, now I don't know if she's going to talk about it or not, but you see what we're looking at here? What we're looking at here is a second giant piece of metal that didn't fall all the way to field level. This piece of metal got somehow stuck up in the catwalks up there somehow. And so it's basically just precariously dangling like the sort of Damocles I often cite, just up there dangling above the field. So this is the reason that apparently the NFL and Jerry Jones got into this shouting match in a suite last night at AT&T. The NFL were demanding that Jerry Jones do one of two things. Get that thing out of there, send somebody up there, have that thing removed, or cancel the game. And Jerry was losing his shit because apparently it was quite a to-do to get somebody up there. And they couldn't get somebody up there and actually remove it because apparently this piece was very large and was too difficult of a prospect to have dudes up there. So here's what they did instead, and this is why the game was allowed to continue. Jerry Jones sent AT&T maintenance people up there into the catwalks, where they found this giant piece of metal that was precariously dangling on these catwalks, and instead of removing it, they bolted it. They went up there and they bolted it to the catwalks so that there was no way possible that it was going to fall. And then after the game, I guess they went up there and they unbolted it and then removed it that way. But that's how the game got saved.
There were no injuries, fortunately, and the situation is being reviewed right now, Scott, so that they can make a decision about whether or not they can reopen the roof for the game tonight. You know that they like to have that roof open when weather permits, and it is a nice evening here, but right now they're trying to reassess whether or not it is safe to actually open the roof because of the debris that was falling when they opened it earlier.
All right, Lisa, something we didn't anticipate we would be keeping a literal eye on. Thankfully, we have a roof over our heads here. No joke, that's a big chunk of metal.
Scott, the bottom then already fell out in Dallas. The top might as well, too.
There you go.
Oh, my God. Look at that. Fans of the team catching strays because the fucking $2 billion stadium is falling apart 15 years after it was built. Oh, and then the other thing, oh, man. I mean, you got in the pre-produced montage for the opening of Monday Night Football, where they show, like, you know, it's all these very glamorous depictions of the two teams that are playing, from their history to whatever. In the case of the Cowboys, ESPN's production team went out of their way to pre-produce something that actually threw a spotlight, no pun intended, on Jerry Jones and his stupid won't shut the curtains thing. Did you see in the opening montage where they actually showed the sun shining in through that thing and then CeeDee Lamb not being able to see? I mean, that was brave. That was ESPN. That was Monday Night Football going, fuck you, Jerry. We're going to make fun of you if we want. And it's interesting because the perception is always that everyone, even tangentially associated with the NFL, somehow always carries water for Jerry. So that was interesting to see NFL, ESPN, Monday Night Football, NFL producers putting that together and not worrying about it. Just going, yeah, let's show Jerry's stupid won't close the curtains problem, since we're talking about the Cowboys season thus far. Nina says they built the stadium and do no maintenance. I don't know if that's the case. It's a nice stadium. I mean, let's not shit on the stadium. The stadium's really cool. That stadium is really, really cool. And, okay, so they opened the roof on the day of a big storm and some things fell. Well, that's, you know, I can understand why that might be. We just had a really bad storm and you're open. Okay, so I get that. As far as the sun shining through, that's curtains. Just put the damn curtains up. The blackout curtains. It's not a problem anymore. And now look at us. We're back to having the nicest stadium in the league. So, I mean, it's not a bad place. It's a cool place. It's just funny that all of these things seem to be happening to Jerry at a time when, you know, we're all pretty okay with these bad things happening to Jerry, right? It's kind of fun watching him sort of twist in the wind. All right, that's going to do it. Cowboys. That's going to quite literally do it. What was the other thing? Oh, the other takeaway from, look, there's a lot of takeaway. Who's the dude who broke his arm? Did you see the broken arm play? Oh, God. 2 or 3 times a season, we have one of these plays, whether it's Joe Theismann and Alex Jones, or can I interest you in a Tim Krumrie injury? Oh, there are just these terrible, terrible injuries. Well, we had another one on last night's game, and unfortunately it happened to one of our boys, one of the Cowboys. I don't even know what it was. What was his name? I don't even know what his name was. But his arm bent completely. I'm going to vomit. Seriously, when I saw it, I was like, oh, God, I can't. And then they didn't even show the replay. They showed the replay like really quickly, and then Troy Aikman went, well, it's kind of obvious what happened to his arm there. Oh, that's brutal. And then Joe Buck was like, oh, that's terrible. And then they cut away from it and moved back. They didn't show it again. No way. They ain't showing that. It was disturbing. It was one of those disturbing football injuries. What we saw had to have been a compound fracture of a grown-ass man, a warrior man, compound fracture of his arm right there on the field, bending completely back. It was awful. It's terrible. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, let's do some video breakdowns. It's something we don't do all that much, but I do like it. I like to sometimes just sit around with you guys and watch some viral videos and try and figure out what's going on here and how close we are to the ultimate end of all of us. Because that's what I think. I think the more, somebody's going to fuck around, make a viral video, and it's going to end the world. Something's going to, hey, I'm just going to screw around with this atomic energy here at the lab at the University of Chicago. This is where they did the Manhattan Project, and here I'm just going to add this to that. And then, the whole world's going to go. I guess that's what the world would do. What's going on with pickleball? Can we talk about this pickleball viral video? Have you seen this? You must have seen it. It's viral. It's all over the place. It's 2 dudes playing It's actually 4 dudes playing pickleball. Here's what I don't know. Is pickleball a 2-man sport? Is it a team sport? Or is pickleball like, one-on-one? What is it? I don't know. I've never played it. It looks stupid. And then quite honestly, here's the other thing. It doesn't look cool, okay? It looks not cool at all. It looks really like something that old people would be playing, and a lot of old people play it. But here's the other thing too. The name is not cool. It doesn't look cool. The name is pickleball. That sounds stupid. So maybe I'm a little bit late to the pickleball party. But let me tell you, after seeing this video, I'll go. It's a spectator sport. If this is the kind of shit that's going on in pickleball courts, watch this. Full contact pickleball. We're going to break this down. Here's why. Let me make sure we get this for you. I want to talk about everybody's role in this video. I don't want to just talk about the obvious guy who did the thing. There's a guy who does a thing. I don't want to just talk about that. I want to talk about everybody's role. Let's talk about what everybody was doing here. Here we go. Full contact pickleball. Did you see it? All right, that's how it opens. This is how the whole thing unfolds, okay? So here you go. Watch this. This is from the beginning. This is how it ends. I hate when they do this with these videos where they show you the thing first. I get why they do it so that people don't click out. But here you go. Okay. Watch this video. Here you go. They're playing pickleball. Watch what happens.
Come on! Let's go! Fuck yeah!
All right, there you have it. Watch it one more time. So here, I want to go back now. We'll show it to you from how it plays out. Now, they're playing pickleball. The dude who gets kicked in the face, that's what we just watched. We just watched a guy win a game of pickleball and get kicked in the face for his troubles. Here's that dude. This is the guy who gets kicked in the face. The guy who is serving, who is out of frame right now, is the guy who does the kicking. Let's watch this again. All right, guy who just gets kicked in the face has just scored the game winner, and he is in love with himself. He's like, come on! Yeah! He's one of these fucking emotional infants who can't fucking manage their testosterone from one moment to the next, and you end up behaving like this in public when you could have been a sportsman, but no, he's being one of these idiots.
Let's go!
And let's go! Taunting the other people. This is fucking pickleball, people. This isn't the NFL. All right? This isn't wild card weekend. You didn't just win one in overtime. All right, so now here he goes to shake hands. All right, some sportsmanship happening here. The dude who did the serving and who will soon be our kicker, he seems to be handing the paddle I don't want to touch you. And so the dude is now going to high five the paddle. And during the high fiving of the paddle, the overly aggressive game winner, soon to be guy kicked in the face, he slaps the paddle out of this dude's hands. Guy in pink shorts. guy in the pink shorts. He's like, okay, let's tap rackets. And instead of that, game winner swats the racket out of his hand. Pink shorts is offended by this. Pink shorts is like, what the fuck, man? You're a complete asshole. And without thinking, his subconscious tells him, you should kick him in the fucking face. And he does. And, that's sometimes. Well, let's watch it again. But let's also talk about the partner. This guy. This is the partner of the dude who does the kicking. He misses the whole thing. He has no idea what's happening. Let us watch.
Fuck yeah!
Okay, so now the racket is falling on the ground. And right now, he's bending down, and this dude, this is the moment of truth. This guy in the pink shorts hates this fucking douche bro so much right now. Like, just can't stand him. And this is where emotional control is important. We all want to kick him in the fucking face right here, but some of us don't have that level of emotional control, and this happens. There it is. All right, now this dude, remember, partner guy, him, watch him when the kick goes down. He's not even looking.
Let's go! Fuck yeah!
So, see, he's turned, and he's in mid-kick. He doesn't know what's going on. Now he turns. All he sees is he has no idea. This guy has no idea what happened. I also like this guy. Partner's job. Partner of douchebag who got kicked. And let's not, he's still a douchebag. He got kicked in the face, and that's a terrible thing. Kind of deserved it. Like, in a multiverse kind of way. He kind of deserved it. Anyway, let's see what the partner does. How does the partner defend his teammate who's just been kicked in the face? Does he go after and beat the hell out of this guy? Let's watch. All right, right now he's like, hey, man, what was that? Hey, he's putting his hand out like, please explain yourself. He's in shock right now. That seems a little bit puss, quite frankly. I mean, I think that the only job for him right now is to tackle this guy. He saw it. This guy saw it. The other partner didn't see it. This guy saw what just happened. So did a number of these other people. If this guy just jumps him, I'm certain somebody else is going to help. We know who the bad guy is. This guy holding the balls here. He saw everything. He's not going to let this guy get brutalized. Now he's got to see. Now he's pushing him. Right, now he's coming after him. Now he's also pushing a girl. The guy who got pickled out, I don't know what we'll call that. He got pickled out. We haven't seen him. Let's start watching over here. Is he moving or is he just out cold? I imagine he's got a broken jaw. Not because that was a seriously brutal kick with a lot of force. It doesn't look like it. Looked like he really just kind of went boop, like Adam's going to fucking kick this jerk in the head. Didn't kick him as hard as he could. Just kind of like reflexively went boop, kicked him. Still, where he kicked him, if you watch it, he got it right there on the hinge. I bet you that dude's jaw is broken or at least dislocated. I mean, pushed all the way up. There's teeth missing. A human foot, a man leg, even at half speed, bringing a foot just up to kind of, it's going to hurt you if it hits you right there in the jaw. All right, let's see what he's doing. He doesn't seem to be moving. Is that him sitting there? Now we got to go back. Is that him sitting?
Come on! Let's go!
Hold on.
Fuck yeah!
There he goes. Oh! Okay, he's down. All right, so I guess that is him. I thought it was somebody sitting over him. He sits up. There he goes. Now he's moving. All right, there you have it. Full contact pickleball. That's kind of fun. Adam says you're soft if you think celebrating a win is taunting. One, I'm not soft, and yeah, it's very disrespectful, but go ahead. You keep being an asshole. Now, both of us can be right. I'm not going to disagree with you. What the other guy did was deplorable, but I chose to focus on that more from the angle of this is somebody who can't control their emotions. This is somebody who in the moment doesn't know you got to go shut that down. No, he just went with the instinct to kick him in the face. He's an emotional midget, that's for sure. And it was deplorable. There's no question about it. The other guy's an asshole. Doesn't mean the other guy's not an asshole. Seems to me like two assholes played a pickle game, and that happened. So, what did I do? I just screwed up. You know what? I didn't do that. I did not just put dead. Oh, was dead people up the whole time? Dead people might have been up the whole time. Oh, guys, we've done enough. We have absolutely done enough. All right, we're going to end the show here. We'll talk to you back tomorrow, right? We'll be back here. I love you all. It's the High Noon Rant. Pugs Moran, back after this. Bye. Or back tomorrow at noon.